Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Georgetown School Committee meeting of Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017. If we could please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance before we begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. I appreciate you taking the time to come and share your thoughts with us. Before we start the meeting, the discussion on our food service program, I would just like to talk to our student rep first. Julia Trapani is here, and if you could just give us an update on how school's going.
It's going well. It's almost winding down. I know next week there's a chorus and chorale concert, and then Friday is the junior senior prom. So that's, I think, what everyone's focusing on right now, so it's exciting. And sports are going, so yeah.
So how excited are you that the prom is at a different venue? We love
Yeah.
the Black Swan, but it's different.
Yeah, it's at
So-
the Willowdale Estate in Topsfield.
You
Everyone's-
excited?
Yeah, everyone's very excited.
Have you been there before?
I have not, but I've seen pictures and it looks gorgeous.
Is it all outdoors or is
I think there's an
It's under the tent, right?
Yeah,
And they
under
have,
tent and
yeah,
stuff.
and they
Great.
have,
the place right in the middle of Topsfield, the white building? No, where is that?
No, it's in the Bradley State
Oh,
Park.
in the
You
park,
Go in
okay,
there, and
okay.
it's the old mansion that used to
Okay.
belong to the gentleman who owned all the land.
Okay.
And you can go into the building for the restrooms, but the rest of it is in a beautiful tent with
Yeah,
heaters.
it's gorgeous.
well, it'll be,
Very
that's
exciting.
Hopefully we'll all get a nice night.
Yeah,
I know, I hope so.
yeah.
So I know Suzanne and I were just at the JV baseball game, and they played Masco. They lost 2-1, but it was a great game.
close. Great.
And then varsity also lost 2-1.
Yeah.
But they're doing really well, both teams.
Yeah,
doing
they
great.
are. Definitely. And I know tomorrow they're playing Linfield, so that should be a tough game. Softball won their first game in
Yes,
2 years.
that was so great. I saw that in the
Wow.
paper.
Great, yeah.
Yeah. Who'd you win to?
Who was it? It was Ipswich. Yeah.
Great. Well, I can see more W's coming down the line for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, that's good. Julia, thanks for
Thanks,
coming.
Julia.
Okay, so the sole purpose for this meeting tonight is to discuss the food service program here in Georgetown. I would love to allow the public to come up and talk. Just so you know, we do, in order to limit the amount of time, not to go on too late for the meeting, I would like whoever would like to talk to definitely come up and talk. But like a three-minute time period, if that could be accomplished, that would be great. I would like to just limit the total public for about 30 minutes. Okay? But again, if there's something that, if it goes beyond that, I hate to have anybody come out tonight to want to talk and say that you can't if we reach that 30 minutes. So I have the sign-up sheet. The first person I have is Heather. Do you want to come on up, Heather?
Did you want to say anything about questions?
Well, so the purpose of this will be to, for you to comment. There really isn't gonna be a back and forth,
It's not a question and
discussion,
answer.
so.
And don't worry, I timed it. It's 2 minutes, so we should be all set. And normally when I come and visit you at school committee meetings, I tend to, talk impromptu, but I did take little time and write it out, so I'm just going to read what I've prepared.
Sure,
So,
Want to identify yourself, Heather?
Yep, that's in the opening
Okay,
paragraph.
go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Go ahead.
So, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. For anybody watching at home who I may not have met yet, I'm Heather Torrey, the Director of Food Services here in Georgetown. And I am so grateful to be able to share the amazing achievements our school nutrition team has been able to accomplish together, especially during School Nutrition Employee Appreciation Week, which it is this week. I'd like to start by sharing the mission statement our team has developed together. Our mission is to provide delicious and nutritious foods to all students and staff. We aim to offer high-quality choices to prepare students for learning. As part of the school community, we are committed to working with faculty to incorporate nutrition education throughout the district. Our school nutrition team is dedicated to creating a pleasurable dining experience for all. This dedication shines daily throughout our department as each member of our team brings their unique skills and years of experience to the table, pun intended. Together, we have worked to implement a number of new initiatives, keeping in mind that our goal is to provide the best possible service and quality to our customers. Our efforts to improve menu offerings are ongoing, and though we have accomplished a great deal already, we continue to meet regularly to discuss new ways to keep students engaged and bolster our revenue. We understand the pressure that the school budget presents and can certainly understand why the district decided to investigate the option of outsourcing. With the implementation of our new charging policy, our department's financial situation has already improved dramatically since the previous school year. I know that with continued support from the school committee and the administrative team, we can work to further strengthen our financial position and collaborate on new ways to generate and sustain revenue streams. When this discussion is ultimately brought to a vote, it is my sincere hope that the school committee will consider the opportunities for growth and progress we can pursue together. It's a privilege to serve the students and community members of Georgetown, and I sincerely hope that we will continue to have that privilege in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Suzanne Caulfield?
Is it okay? We kind of discussed this before. We're trying to keep this as concise as possible. Would there be any objection if I spoke before Suzanne, provided she's okay?
Yeah,
with it?
no, sure.
Thank you.
Can you just state your name?
Of course. My name is Jim Durkin. And thank you. And I also should say, we've discussed this amongst ourselves, and I'm not going to do this in 3 minutes, but I would ask for your indulgence because I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people who otherwise would be up here speaking. So I'd appreciate your patience and your indulgence. And thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Again, my name is Jim Durkin. I'm the Legislative and Political Action Director for AFSCME Council 93, the union that represents the hardworking women who run the school lunch program. And I'd like to begin by thanking you for the courtesy of holding a special meeting to discuss this very important topic. This is a serious issue that's going to have a lasting impact on your school communities for many years to come. And the fact that you've decided to deal with this issue through a special meeting is a recognition of the gravity of the decision that you'll make. But we also take it as a sign of well-deserved respect for the women who currently staff the program, and for that we're grateful. As an aside, it's somewhat of a sad irony, Sue, you're going to hear from, that we're dealing with this on the same day that one of the dedicated employees you will be losing if this program is privatized was honored by a national organization as a 2017 School Lunch Hero of the Year. She was honored for a number of reasons, including a statement from her manager that she, quote, single-handedly tripled participation in the breakfast program at Pembroke. She was also nominated for the award by parents of a student who lauded her for going above and beyond to alleviate their concerns regarding their child's need for a special diet related to a serious medical condition. But you're going to hear from this award-winning employee later. And since there's so much at stake and so much ground that needs to be covered, I'll move on and address some specifics. I'd like to start by dispelling the myth that these dedicated employees will not be losing their jobs if this program is privatized. They will, in fact, lose their jobs, and no amount of sugarcoating is going to change that fact. Will they be offered a chance to work for Whitson's? Yes, in all likelihood they would. But the jobs they hold now will be gone, and they'll be replaced only with an offer to do the same job for less. Less money, less paid time off, a reduced retirement benefit through the loss of pension eligibility, and the loss of eligibility for health insurance coverage for themselves and their kids. Now, let me expand on that a little bit. The proposal's cover letter from Whitson's to Suzanne Sutherland states, quote, employees will be eligible for medical benefits based on company policy in place at the time they're hired. But if you look at page 149 of the Whitson's proposal, you'll read about a, quote, total rewards package of benefits. But it states specifically, right there on page 149, the company policy is this benefits package is only available for full-time employees. Now, it's unclear, we were kind of hoping Whitson's would be here tonight, but it's unclear how many hours a Whitson's employee needs to work to be considered full-time and eligible for benefits. But as you know, many of the workers in the lunch program work under 30 hours a week. Only 2 work 35, which may fulfill the full-time requirement for Whitson's, but again, that's far from clear. But there are a few things that are clear in the Whitson's proposal, and they're crystal clear. Whitson's plan states they will eliminate 2 of the part-time employees immediately. So that's 2 out of 12 current employees who won't even have the option of doing the same job for less. 2 people that will definitely be losing their jobs, no matter how you look at it. And those 2 are in addition to the program secretary, a position they also eliminate, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. The plan also states they'll replace the current paid time off policy that provides workers with a paid week off over the holiday vacation and the February and April vacations. It states they'll eliminate their 12 sick days and 3 personal days, and they'll replace all of that with 8 paid days off, which must be used for sick time, vacation time, and personal emergency days. That move alone represents a cut of 22 days of pay, not to mention stripping these workers of the security that comes with knowing they have some accumulated sick time in the event of an accident or a serious illness. The proposal also states they'll freeze the workers' current rate of pay and states they will deny the workers their standard 2% increase in year 1. And they have, but the audacity to state in writing that the loss of pay will be offset by unemployment insurance they will now be eligible to collect under Massachusetts law, since they will no longer be public school employees. Just let that sink in for a second, okay? This is a major corporation that brought in more than $162 million in revenue in 2016, and they're counting on the taxpayers to supplement their workers' pay through unemployment insurance assistance forever, basically. And given their policy on benefits for full-time employees only, it looks like the taxpayers will be subsidizing their employers' health insurance too through the Affordable Care Act, or as it's called here in Massachusetts, the Connector Plan. I would ask anybody here tonight and those watching at home, doesn't it seem absurd for anyone to claim that these hardworking women are not losing their jobs? With the elimination of 2 positions in what's already a lean operation, the deep cuts that Whitson's will make in pay and benefits, and the loss of access to a defined benefit pension plan and health care coverage, isn't it more accurate to say that the school department is firing these workers and simply putting in a good word with a company that may offer them a chance to do the same job plus more for a lot less? And to put that in perspective, imagine if this committee went to the superintendent and the business manager and said, "We value you both and we appreciate your hard work and dedication. We want you to come back next year, but we need you to take a pay cut, give up almost all of your accrued vacation, sick time, and personal leave, forgo your eligibility for a pension, and lose your access to decent health care coverage." They would rightly find it absurd, and in all likelihood would be moving on to another district where they'd receive the respect and compensation they deserve. But make no mistake about it, by putting this proposal forward, that is exactly what they are asking you to do to these women tonight. And if you make the decision to go along, you're going to see most, if not all, of these women move on as well. They'll take their chances with unemployment and look for a job in another school district that knows the value of keeping these services in-house. Look, it doesn't really matter whose idea it was, the decision's in your hands. And Georgetown's parents and students who have come to trust and rely on these workers are counting on you to make the right decision. I'd like to close by raising just a few other points regarding the Whitson's proposal and raise a few questions that hopefully we can get some answers to tonight. Assuming that most, if not all, of these women refuse to accept the position with Whitson's, they'll be relying on unemployment benefits through the district until they can find a new job that is truly comparable in wages and benefits. That means the district will be responsible for paying the unemployment benefits for these workers. Most people are unaware that unlike private business, government entities do not pay a per-worker unemployment tax up front on a quarterly basis, which covers them in the event that an employee is laid off. Cities, towns, and school districts use the reimbursable method, and I have some information here for you on this tonight. But under this method, if you lay off workers, you're responsible for reimbursing the state for all costs related to unemployment insurance, and you're billed on a monthly basis. So my question is this: has anyone budgeted for this inevitability or even projected the cost? If you haven't, you should, because if privatization moves forward, you and the taxpayers of Georgetown, in all likelihood, will find yourself simultaneously paying Whitson's employees and their $35,000 management fee, as well as your former employees, for the better part of a year, possibly longer if your former employees decide to take advantage of a retraining program. That should be another key factor as you consider the business end as opposed to the human end of this proposal. You should also consider that the Whitson's proposal states it will be eliminating the secretary's position in this program, but states that they, quote, assume the district will have a position to execute free and reduced lunch applications. I gotta hand it to them, this is a pretty smooth move by Whitson's. They're telling you they're saving you money by eliminating a position, but at the same time, they're telling you the position is necessary. They just don't want to pay for it. They want the taxpayers to cover it, along with the unemployment insurance every year and the health care coverage. Another question I'd like to raise and ask is if you've considered the very real possibility of work stoppages under a private contractor. Because under Massachusetts law, public employees are prohibited from striking. And that's the way it should be. But that protection is not there with a private company. And at some point, AFSCME or another union will attempt to organize these new private employees. And I'll tell you, given Whitson's position on pay and benefits, things could eventually become confrontational. And under the law, private sector union employees, regardless of where they work, have every right to walk up the job and throw up a picket line if they need to. Finally, I'd ask if there's been any thought given to the fact that you may be foregoing potential profits down the road. Right now, our understanding this program is $15,000 to $20,000 in the hole, most of which is related to unpaid bills for student meals, which these women have no control over whatsoever. With a better collection system, maybe some modest investments in equipment, and if you listen to many of the creative ideas these women have to increase participation, you could be turning a profit in no time, and that money could be put to other uses, as I've been told it has in the past. But under the privatization model, Whitson's keeps the profits. They don't stay in the district. They don't even stay in the state. They go to corporate headquarters in New York. So these are just a few of the many things to consider from a business standpoint, from a dollars and cents perspective. But of course, this isn't just about money, and it shouldn't be, because the school lunch program was never set up so we could make a few extra bucks selling pints of milk and carrot sticks. It was established because ample research has proven that kids learn better when they have a good meal in their stomachs. What this is about, and what it should be about, is what's best for your school communities. It's about deciding if you want to replace known, trusted, and caring employees with a constantly changing pool of strangers. It's about deciding whether you want to relinquish some control over who comes in and out of your schools every day. And perhaps most importantly, it's about what kind of message you want to send to the students as to how people should be treated and valued. I thank you for your time and your consideration. It's our hope you'll make the right decision, and our union will have the opportunity to work with you for many years to come. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Suzanne, do you want to come on up?
Thank you for taking the time to let me speak. Hi.
Can you just state your full
Yeah.
name?
My name is Suzanne Caulfield. Everybody calls me Sue. And my family and I have lived in Georgetown for 14 years now. I love Georgetown. It's my home. And my son, Joseph, he's 7 years old and he's at Pembroke. And I just wanted to just tell you a little bit about myself, qualifications, and where I started. I actually started at Pearlie, and then I went to Pembroke, and now I'm the kitchen manager. And some of my qualifications, I have ServSafe, allergen awareness, choke saver certified, And as you heard, last Friday I was really surprised with the School Lunch Hero of the Year, which I am in absolute honor of, and I really appreciate everyone that they took the time, and Friday was fabulous, and I thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I'm also CNI Level 1 certified, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about that. I took that on so that this is going to open doors for Pembroke. We are now going to be able to, Heather and I can work together, and we'll be able to get grants, and we'll be able to go down the line and get more extended training and keep updated training, and be able to see what the up and coming changes are at all times. So that really is going to open the door to Pembroke in a lot of different avenues that really can take us to the next level. Going to the next level at Pembroke, there's actually a lot of avenues that we can take at Pembroke that with a little help we can definitely change things. One, doing coffee for the teachers and taking out the coffee machine that's at the front office, and taking care of the coffee of a day instead of the teachers using that machine, then that would go to Pembroke. Having specials every day, a little extra here and there for the students, for the teachers, and for everyone, and that would take a little bit of funding. Also something that the Pembroke School used to do, back when they had grades 2nd to 5th grade, they were doing on Tuesday and Wednesday snack, on Monday and Friday ice cream. Just to give you an example, on Tuesday and Wednesdays, it was about over $2,300 in a year that they did, which is a fantastic avenue that we should definitely take a look at. And Monday and Fridays, the ice cream was $3,000 a year. And especially on a hot day after they come from recess, or a birthday treat or a celebration, that's a really great revenue. You're looking at over $4,000 right there for an asset or revenue that we would take. And that would definitely be able to take. And then in regards to birthday celebrations, we do currently do birthday celebrations, but that's something that we can also take into consideration, like talk to the teachers. All right, today the kindergarten is going to do safaris. So let's think of a theme for the class, and say they have circle time or ring time or whatever. We can do a really fun cheese platter or fruit platter, and there's another revenue for something to think about. When the 6th grade has a ceremony, I know we do that now, and we have refreshments for them, but it's something another avenue to take. There's a lot of things that I would love to work with you, and I would love to be able to sit down and strategize. And I think there's a lot of doors that are opening, especially with this new certification. And I would love to just be able to sit down, take the time, and really review with Heather. And I think we have a great possibilities of really making it possible, and also making it a lot better. So I will be short and sweet, but but I do, anyways, there's a lot of avenues to take, and the one person that you should definitely take a look at and to listen to is Deb Scotty. She has enough knowledge than anyone in this room, and she really could have some great ideas that would open the door to Pembroke too. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you. Ruth?
Oh, hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. I wrote everything down because it's hard to make sure I stay on track and do what I'm supposed to do. Hello, my name's Ruth Freitas. I've met some of you all before, but for people that don't know me, I am the cook manager at the high school. Qualifications, I have my degree in food service management, culinary arts. I have 25 years of experience either as a chef manager or food service director, with all the certifications that you need to work in the public schools. I came to Georgetown because I valued how much the town thought of its food service workers. I would actually have benefits. I worked for a food service company at a school in New Hampshire that had minimal. My son was badly injured and I had to take time off from work to care for him with no pay. No sick or personal time for me. When Sue and I found out, along with Heather, our director, that the district was considering privatization, we were heartbroken. Sue and I met with Carol and Suzanne to see what we could do as kitchen managers to help save the program. We asked specific questions and we hit the ground running and have not been up for air since. Ask my family. It's Lunch Hero Week. I have my hero that just came home from the Navy that's here to support me back there, my son Eric. And I also brought along my husband, who's a local 103 union electrician. He wired this building. I didn't even know it till I got here tonight. So I had to just mention that and get back to my... So we implemented everything that they wanted us to do. We were on fire. We're still on fire. We went back to our schools. We asked our staffs to step it up and do more with less, and they did. Benefits and being valued are a powerful incentive to step it up when the going gets rough. We brought back the deli bar at the high school. I'm working it, but we have it and the kids love it. We increased our numbers at lunch. We are in the process of implementing a pizza program, which we think we want to call the Royals Pizzeria, with homemade pizzas and calzones. Idea that I had, we'd like to maybe get the students involved through internships, art class, business classes, to help create some excitement and market this new addition to our program. Sue tripled her breakfast program at Pembroke and has won a prestigious award that you all heard about that can benefit our program. I'm so thankful that the school committee thought enough of us to visit our schools and see what we really do, and took the time to speak with us and everything after. That meant a lot, and we really appreciate that. Carol stopped by the high school a couple days ago and got to see some of our homemade pizzas, which opens up a whole a la carte window of income, which we've already implemented some of the a la carte things so that the kids can get a meal and come back in a la carte pizza, a la carte chicken, and I'm sure there's many other avenues. You all asked us to do more with less, and we rose to the occasion. We have broken equipment, and we still persevered. The students wrote a petition on our behalf. The 8th graders wrote beautiful essays about the food service workers with the compliment of nominating us for the yearbook dedication. We need to teach the students that sometimes people face adversity, but they rise above it. Our program was hurting, but the meal charging program is doing what it is supposed to do. We have all done all of this hard work, and now we're going to lose our jobs. The worst part will not be seeing the kids and my wonderful co-workers, never mind the financial hit equivalent, which is basically equivalent to a mortgage payment, car payment, a few weeks of groceries. I don't know if anybody here would want to work so hard like we've worked and then lose all of that. We have so much potential income to be profitable as soon as next year. Carol mentioned it, and I read a little bit on myself. I need to get more information on this, but the state regulations are loosening up, and the income potential is limitless with the talent pool that you presently have working in your school kitchens. Please, let us finish what we started and become a shining example for other cities and towns that have faced privatization and have saved their workers. We can all think outside the box and work harder and come out stronger because of this. The only ones that truly get hurt are the students if you choose to outsource. We would all love nothing more than to hold our heads up high when those 8th graders graduate and say we did it. We kept this wonderful program and its rewards in this town. Thank you all for listening to me. I had to keep it short.
So we're gonna have Jim. Jill?
Jill. Hi, I'm Jill Shotwell. I want to start by saying that we have an awesome set of people that make our lunch program happen. My kids know every single person's name They talk about Sue. I knew Sue before I ever met her. Miss Tori has brought such innovation to our program. It's one of the things I feel proud about, and I never thought I would say that about a school lunch program. Seems a little crazy. I appreciate the transparency that you all provide. I appreciated your blog, gave me a lot of information to my questions. I appreciate our collective ongoing desire to improve our town and our schools. I especially appreciate the consideration of our budget and how hard it is to make this decision, knowing that this program has lost money, knowing that it's really hurting our school budget, and especially knowing that the problem does not lie within us or the people in this room. It lies within our town and our inability to bring in new revenue streams. And you on the school committee and you and our awesome food staff are taking the hit for a problem in our town, a systemic problem that we are continuing to try to address. I don't have enough information to make a statement. I'm going to make one anyway, but first I'm going to tell you some of the questions that I have. Some were already answered. So one question I have is, what other solutions are being considered? I heard a lot of passion around things that Sue and Miss Tori and Ruth are considering, and I think it's evident to me now that there is more than we can do before we outsource. I especially have a question around safety of our students, bringing in people that aren't part of our town, that aren't people that we know, that perhaps just go through background checks. I'm particularly worried about students with special dietary needs. I do not have one, but there's one sitting in our audience who has a very serious dietary need. I'm not really sure why we're losing so much money, but more importantly, I'd like to know how much money these new ideas can bring, and if they can be enough, and I hope they are, to save this program and to save our members of this program. We live in a really small town. These decisions have a huge ripple effect on all of us. It sounds like there are other ideas, other options, other ways to make this work. I hope that it won't come to outsourcing based on what I've heard, but I also understand that we can't continue to lose money in our program. I think what Ruth just said sank in with me the most, and I'm glad that Ruth and Sue and team talked before, and Heather talked before I did. The lesson here isn't just one around us and the budget, it's around our humans and what our students will learn and take away from all of us as a community in this decision that we make. And I trust that you guys will make the best decision for the community, even if we don't all agree. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. Thanks, Jill. Okay, we have Joe Patella.
Bobby, I don't know if I can really add on to anything that.
Oh, I bet you could.
Not usually short for words, Joe.
You know, I'm not usually short, but you know, these guys they're absolutely incredible. You know, I stole this. I mean, confiscated it from one of my kids today. Are we all familiar with this?
Is that to keep you focused, Joe?
The fidget toy?
The fidget toy.
Toy.
You know, it's the fad of the day. You know, last month it was slime, and now it's beginning of the school year, it was Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Right.
You know, these are all fads that come and go, but you know, something that's not a fad that comes and goes are the 2 C's that are the most important in any school, and that's community and connections. And I see it every day with these lunch ladies. This kitchen staff is unbelievable. And the community and connections just doesn't go with students and teachers. It extends to everybody. From Heather Torrey and her staff at Pearlie to the kitchen ladies behind the trays at Pearlie, Pembroke, and the middle high school. Those connections in community are an important part of every school district. And without them, we falter. These ladies illustrate community and connections every single day with their kids. We need them to stay. As far as I remember, schools are a nonprofit organization. If the financial problem is happening in the kitchen staff, we have a bunch of smart people. There's no doubt that we can figure this out collectively in-house. I'm here on behalf of the teachers as the union president, and I would like you to make the decision to keep these kitchen staff ladies in their jobs where they are needed every single day. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to talk? I know I have a lot of names on here. Anybody? Yeah, wanna come on out?
There we go. Oh, she's gonna come too, good.
Do you know that you're gonna be on TV? Can you just state your name?
I'm Ashley Rossiter, and this is
Molly.
Molly.
Nice to meet you.
So I'm here as a mom and as a member of the community. I wrote my notes down, one second. So Molly was diagnosed with celiac disease at the beginning of last year. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, she can't have gluten, which is a protein, and celiac disease is an autoimmune disease. A lot of people think it's an allergy. She was very, very sick. 1/500th of a breadcrumb can make her sick. She was actually out sick from school. I think she got sick, got some gluten over the weekend. She was actually out sick today. When she was diagnosed, I was petrified to send her to school. And she kept telling me, "Mommy, I just want to be normal. I want to order my lunch. I just want to be normal like my friends." And I talked with Miss Doran and Heather, and we came up with a plan. And after she came home from school and her blood work showed that she did not have any contamination, I felt relieved, because I know that the moms in the cafeteria were taking care of her as a mom, as like I would take care of her. And her blood work's been done, and she has never been contaminated at school. So that's why I'm here. The other concerns were already shared. I do have concerns about, the safety of students. Who are these people that are coming into our schools? I did some research on the company. I did find out that there was a class action lawsuit in the state of New York. There's an Attorney General release statement that they had defrauded the taxpayers in the state of New York for $1.3 million. They had to settle with them in 2011. It had to do with kickbacks from vendors, so that was a concern. I don't know if they've addressed that concern with you as a school committee for what changes they've done in their policies to fix what they're doing. So I do have concerns about a company being in our school. But my main concern is that, that my daughter, I know she's the only one with this, but I feel I drop her off at school and I'm not worried. I know that she's safe at school and that she's getting fed and she feels normal. Nobody else at her lunch table knows she's just a normal kid ordering her lunch. What do you want to say? It was very important that she came today.
When there's special events, I can have that because they try very hard to do it, and I like when they do that. Like on Friday when we had popcorn for Red Sox, they made sure I could have it, and I really like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that wanted to talk? No? Okay, so at this point in time, then, we will begin the discussion. I'm a little overwhelmed, actually. Hi.
I thought I signed on
I don't see your name checked. Oh, is there a there's a
Second page, there's a second page.
Oh, Ash, okay. Deb, come on up. I'm sorry. I didn't see the second page.
Yeah. I think she said something. There's a lot of information here.
Hello.
Can you just state your name?
Debbie Scotty.
I've lived in Georgetown for 29 years, just shy of 21 years working in food service. I just had when we were at the old Pembroke, we could serve ice cream and snacks. And ice cream we would serve on Monday and Thursday, and snacks were Tuesday and Wednesday. The kids did enjoy it. Pardon me. I just, and we also had a water machine that was outside of the kitchen, which was, the children didn't use the water machine during lunch because they'd have their milk, but it was for the late bus. They could purchase.
A vending machine, like a vending machine?
Yes, it was just, but there was only water in there. And then on the weekends, when they did the basketball or any activity, any after-school activities, the water machine was available. And I just happened, because me and my numbers, when I sold ice cream, it was two days a week, and the children did enjoy it. And you have to remember, this is the old Pembroke School, which was grades 2 through 5. And everything was one price, because you couldn't confuse the children and, give them a smorgasbord and say, well, this is 75, this is $1. Everything was 75 cents. And the ice cream happened, you have to keep in mind, it was 2 days a week. It was $2,150. Now snacks, on the other hand, everything had to be the same price, and it was 50 cents. And we did quite well with that. And oh, here it is. Excuse me. Notice. And we happened to do quite well on that, but keep in mind, it was 50 cents, and it was only served 2 days. Well, it was an option for 2 days a week. And that was over $1,100. And then the water machine that was outside of the kitchen, that was available to staff, whoever was using the building. The children didn't purchase really the water at lunch. They had their milk. We happened to do quite well and do over $800. And when we went to the new Pembroke, excuse me, we didn't have the water machine. We couldn't sell snacks or ice cream. And, I understand the whole thing, but from the last year at Pembroke, it's $4,068.75 that was revenue. And then the RFP, they have this a la carte menu that I was just looking, because my granddaughter will be at Pembroke next year, and just looking at some of these prices for a la carte, and it's pages and pages, and the prices are really very expensive. And why, if they're going to be able to sell ice cream and treats, why can't we? just, you know, because I was looking, I'm like, oh my, a Rice Krispie treat, $1? And there's pages of this, they're gonna offer, you know, it's just incredible. And everything that we did sell was on the A list. And then for a snack, it was 50 cents. And for the ice cream, it was 75 cents. And we're going back a couple years. But I was just looking at this and I was like, boy, oh boy, if we had charged these prices, we could have hit the jackpot and we wouldn't be here. And I just wanted to say one thing. In the last year, and I'm sorry, I'm taking up time. Last year at Pembroke, I used to always send out late slips. I sent them out every week. You didn't have a computer. Everything was hand done. And I always sent late slips out on a Friday. And the last Friday of that year, what was owed to school lunch, it was $606.60. And then it happened to be our last day of school was on Tuesday. So when I left school on Tuesday, it was $389.55. And then 2 days later, I went to the, I would go up to the food service director's office and would handwrite notes and, you know, a friendly reminder that, you know, this is what is owed and, you know, but it was always collected because it was carried over until September. And I can vouch for it because we didn't have the point of sale.
No.
I did it all by hand. And, you know, just,
Keep your records.
yes, I do. I do. And then, like I said, I'm grateful for the town to have 21 years, almost. And thank you. I just wanted to share.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you. Okay, I think I got everybody on the list. Right?
Uh-oh.
Okay, you weren't on the list though, right?
I wasn't.
Come on up.
I can go and check my name.
It's okay, we can check your name.
Okay. Hi. Hi. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Laura Cole, and I am a parent at Pembroke. And I just had one question after listening to a few of the other comments and statements that were made. I'm just curious if the current staff was able to also participate in the RFP process, and if not, if they would want to try to put together a proposal to compete with the proposals of privatization. To put together a plan to see if, what the thoughts and actions that they have, because they had a lot of great ideas, and put it on paper and see how it fleshes out to sort of compare apples to apples.
Yep. Thanks. Okay, so just to give you a background about the process that we have all been going through. We began discussing the possibility of outsourcing food services over a year ago. I know there was a question that this was something new, but we have been talking about it for over a year. The program is losing money, and we wanted to investigate possible models that could increase participation in the lunch program. The district informed the union of our intention to prepare an RFP once we begin our negotiations process. We explained to them that we would be soliciting bid proposals at that time, and that was December, January timeframe. An RFP was posted per the bidding laws. 5 companies attended walkthroughs, and we did have one company that remained interested and has continued with the process. Suzanne Sutherland, Michael Hinchliff, and Superintendent Jacobs conducted a certification meeting to determine if the bid document addressed the areas in the RFP and determined that they did meet all the necessary criteria. And we did have representatives from the Budget and Finance Subcommittee, which would be Pam Lundquist and Michael Hinchliff, as well as other members of the full committee. We reviewed the materials at posted subcommittee meetings or on our own time. Members of the school committee, Superintendent Jacobs, Suzanne Sutherland, and Mike Anderson, conducted site visits to both Haverhill High School as well as Masconomet Regional High School. They are currently using the company Whitson's. I do also want to say that Cheryl Lechendro and myself went to our own cafeterias, both Pembroke and Georgetown Middle High School, because we did want to also take the opportunity to watch the full process as it goes for the kids on a daily basis. We had a chance to talk with the staff, both management and employees. The reason for these visits was to verify firsthand how the operation worked and get a firsthand account from the people that do work with the students and the staff every day. The school committee did set up this special meeting to discuss the decision in open public session. We are happy to have community members here to tell us how you feel. We respect and we really value all that you have to say, and I do think it speaks volumes for the amount of people that are here. I know it's not easy to get out of the house at night, so again, I do appreciate that. The bid proposals were requested by the union that we are beyond that time period, but Whitson's is here this evening. So we would like to just begin the discussion and hopefully answer any of the questions that you posed when the people came up and talked. Okay?
So do you want to have Kim and John come up, or
Yeah.
how do you want to do that?
Yeah, I would. I didn't know their names.
Yeah, Kim.
Kim and John. Okay. So Kim and John are from Whitson's. Thank you for coming out this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Sure. We appreciate it.
Just
Thank you.
identify your roles.
Absolutely. Kim Gunn, and I'm the Director of Business Development for Whitson's, and with me is
John Grosbeck, Senior VP of the Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire area.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to talk a little bit about your company before we?
If that would be okay,
Yeah,
that would be great. Thank you. As I know you had an opportunity to read in the proposal, but Whitson's is a family-owned and operated company and has been for the past 38 years. We, our mission is to enhance lives, and we do that through one meal at a time.
And just can you all hear? Can you all hear her? Can you talk? I think the fan's kind of a problem, but if you could use
Sure,
your outside
absolutely.
voice, as we would say in the schools.
Okay, absolutely. Whitson's is a family-owned and operated organization and has been for the past 38 years. Our mission is to enhance lives, and we do that through one meal at a time. We currently manage 28 districts in the state. Part of our support in enhancing lives through one meal at a time is through our operating philosophy. And that really is 3 basic steps that we follow each and every day: people, food, and communication. We're a family-owned organization, so we treat everybody like family, serving wholesome food that tastes great, and really listening to our customers. And that's given us the ability to partner with 28 other districts in the state. And we hope that we have the opportunity to partner with you too. So we thank you for the opportunity to answer questions and address anything that's in the proposal or that was brought up this evening. Did you want to add anything?
No, that's perfect.
I don't think.
Okay, well, we have here some facts about the proposal, although we have all read through the proposal and made our own notes as well. So maybe I could just verify this with you. It says here, all current union employees in the food services program would have a job with Whitson's if they want to join the company. The RFP included the requirement to hire our current employees first before any other new employees are hired by the company. I read somewhere, would the salary would be the same?
Yes, the
As what
salary is the
they're
same,
earning.
yes. The hourly rate and the hours worked, daily worked is the same, correct,
Right.
yes.
And that also continues beyond year one?
Yes, I mean, we certainly wouldn't want to backtrack their pay, so yes, it would continue after year 1. And then they would have the opportunity for performance and increases in wages.
And we understand that they're part of the community, so we're not just coming in here with a
Absolutely.
busload of people and replacing people. We're here to help the district get to a different level. Not that everything before was bad, but these are people that are part of the process. So
Absolutely.
we want to keep them included in that process.
So any additional employees that you would have to hire, what would be the specific background checks that you would do to ensure the parents the safety of their children?
Well, I'm not sure if the district does their own Cory check.
We do.
Right, so we do the Cory check. Our HR department also does a fingerprint and social security background check through our HR department. So they get double checked, basically.
Okay, so Cory, Social Security, fingerprint.
In addition to employment background checks and all of the standard employment verifications.
Okay. The proposal does call for a reduction in 2 of our part-time employees. Tell me how you came to that decision.
Yep. There's an industry standard, it was at the elementary school, Pembroke, I believe it was. And the industry standard meals per labor hour did not meet the quota there. And just, again, we're just coming in here with a lot of unknowns, trying to get the district out of the deficit situation. So when we look at that and they don't meet the meals per labor hour, we have to tail back on some of the labor. That doesn't mean that in the future, as we increase participation in sales, that could be added back in. But the initial thing that, the initial thought that the district wanted to do is try and get it as close to break even as possible. And that's typically what we do anyway. We look at the industry standard.
Okay.
And it's not just us, any vendor would do, they would do the same thing.
Sure, and thank you for that explanation. The reason that I'm just a little bit more concerned about that aspect of the proposal is that I hear that our employees just don't have enough time in the day to do what they really need to do.
Yep.
And some are even coming in before their paid shift starts.
Right.
That obviously we know is not something that, bodes well.
Right.
So if that's the case, if we lose these 2 people that are saying that they can't even get their work done in the time that they're paid, how is
Well, we
Whitson
would, yeah,
to do that?
we would have to get in and assess the situation. We only did a bit, we did a tour.
Right.
We saw they did some nice, great stuff while they were here. We're just looking to bring it to a different level. And we would assess each day, how that was working. And once we assessed that, if we felt as though time was needed or different, additional buys were needed, we would talk to the district. And it's your program, so at the end of the day, we're here to manage it based on our knowledge and over the years that we've been in this business, in comparison to the other districts that we have. So at the end of the day, if we felt as though it was needed in our discussions with the staff and the district, then we would certainly, look into that. We want to be your partner and work it
And
out.
would those 2 employees be considered first, if that was to be the
Absolutely.
determining?
Sure. Yeah, if they were employees
Absolutely.
that want to stay in there, yes, we would consider them first, yes.
In addition, to add to what John said, we're gonna be bringing in our toolbox of resources and all of the training and efficiencies that we do in other districts that are similar to Georgetown. So looking at possibly a different way of the production line or how you set up. So we want to bring our knowledge and experience into the district, so hopefully to bring a better quality of life in their workday, and that they can look at the amount of hours to be productive. So it is a self-sufficient, a self-sustaining financial situation.
Let me ask, I guess, to go on the financial side for a second. The current program, in terms of operational losses, in terms of operational nets, last year lost $34,000 plus or minus. This year we're looking at 10 or 15. The year before that was another 10. What's the special sauce? Is it selling more meals? Is it cutting costs? Like what's going to make this hooray at the end of next year?
It's a mix.
Yeah, it's a mix of a number of things. First and foremost, we have the buying power, because we're basing your buying power as an overall basket with our other districts. So we have local vendors that we could purchase through that will have buying power from. So food cost itself could be lowered. We also can, with that said, we can also get better quality items based on the fact that we're buying in volume. So we can get that higher quality item maybe at a lower price than what a district would do, a smaller district especially, out to bid on their own. Sometimes districts do a co-op bid with surrounding districts, but again, you're only talking about a couple. We're talking about just in Massachusetts 28 through our vendor. Also our concepts, we have a multitude of concepts, a multitude of recipes, a menu structure. Our menu mix is very different with either commodities, diverted commodities, plus your purchase goods. We have a different process to utilize those items. But our concepts in the high school, middle schools is what drives sales, big time. Plus, parents with our menu structure and our online program, we don't use your IT department to do the work for us. We just get a web link from them, and then we do all the web information. So a parent can go on to a menu, click on any day they want, and they can build a menu, so it's very interactive, and they could get the caloric intake for every single item that's on the menu, as well as the allergen information to the far right-hand side. And once they build it, they can remove items, they can add items, they can look at the day before, they can look at 10 days after, whatever it may be. But that gives parents an access to look at that, and then, that could build participation as well.
And I really think it goes back to our operating philosophy and looking at the people, food, and communication, and it really takes those three components to make the special sauce, as you will, because you want to increase participation. That's a good word. That's good. That's appropriate.
It was a pun.
Yes, it was.
Good, Michael.
It was.
So to increase participation, which is going to increase the revenue for the district, but then looking at the cost efficiencies to through the support that we bring.
So in that so a lot of it's participation, obviously. It's growing.
The participation drives the sales. I mentioned a la carte before. We typically don't want to push a la carte. The a la carte list I was in is a JSI list. It's what the state proposes. That's the A list, the approved list. And those are cost items that you guys set all the pricing. We don't set the pricing.
Absolutely. You
They
have
ask for a
complete
sample
control.
list in the RFP. That's what every RFP asks for. That's what's submitted. But having said that, we want to make sure every student's getting a reimbursable meal. Every student has to leave the line with a fruit or vegetable on their tray. And if they do, the district benefits from that because they get the reimbursement value, not just the cost, just the paid meal and/or free or reduced, but they also get a reimbursement value to that too. That adds revenue to your program. So we try and shy away if we would talk to the district about it, but we want a kid to get a reimbursable meal. If they want to buy an extra slice of pizza, that could be a la carte, but you want to get them the reimbursable meal first.
As it relates to participation, we're seeing 37%, 38%. I guess, what is your experience on kind of where you start and I don't want to say where you end, but
That's a good question. We don't have a crystal ball, but based on experience, we typically would look at each building in every district's different. There's different communities on either side of the district too. So once we get our feet on the ground, we're in the district, then we get to determine that, and we start to drive and see where we're going to increase those ADPs. Typically, when you get into a district that is a self-op into a manager company or on a situation when we offer our concepts, because we have a multitude of concepts, a variety of different items, that's when you increase participation, just in that alone.
Okay.
So, And then we try and get feedback from the kids, from the staff, what are the likes and dislikes of the kids and so on. But surveys or even just questioning while they're online is typically how we would get feedback from them, so.
I have a question, kind of not related, but what would be your protocol or your plan for students with severe dietary needs? Because that is a concern.
Yeah, a lot of times it typically goes through the nurse. The nurse is usually familiar with the students and who they are, and they bring it to our attention. We talk to our staff. We, again, have the menu online with the allergen, the 8 known allergens that are noted in every single product that we have. We also have an allergen station that we post at every school that has 8 known allergens within our menu structure, and the kids can go online, look at it. They could use there's a mobile app for it as well. So if they're getting online, they can use the QR code and scan and see what's on the menu for the day and kind of go through and pick and choose. But typically we work through the nurse for those. A lot of schools, the nurses get a photo of that student, what the allergen information is, and we put that information on the POS. You're using NutriKids right now,
Yeah.
which is probably the best system that you can have. It alerts the cashier prior to them bringing that student in as a meal, what the allergen is. They could check their tray to
Okay,
ensure that.
Would there be, say, with gluten, would there be options of, like gluten-free pasta?
Yep.
Or, you know?
Yeah, we would meet with the parent, director on site. We have an executive chef, we have our Ds. They can meet with the parent and discuss different options that they want. Again, it's the district's program. At the end of the day, all the food and that's paid for by, we pay for it up front and then it's billed back. But it would be a conversation between the individuals
And we can make
the
sure that
district.
they have those options available.
Right.
And I'm very sensitive
Plus, we
to that
got, you know,
because I'm
and
gluten-free as well, so I'm always.
cross-contamination is big with that too, so there's training involved with it, which they probably already are, considering that there is one child that has that right now, so, yes. Every student has to be treated differently, obviously.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of vegans, we've got, you know, I mean, there's a lot of dairy allergies, so we're constantly looking to communicate what are in the items, so the parents know, the students know, and they're
Yeah,
informed.
diabetes is the biggest thing right now besides allergens, but a lot of diabetics, and the parents can use the menu program to kind of figure out the insulin on that as well.
Well, while we're on this topic, thank you for asking that, Cheryl, but the mom of the little girl that has celiac, did you want to ask a question?
My question, he said that the big 8 for allergens, so gluten actually isn't part of the big 8,
Right.
wheat is. So my question was more about cross-contamination and how
That's a- yeah, I
we
just
ensure
mentioned
that, gluten isn't part of that, because it's,
Right.
unfortunately, gluten isn't part of the big 8
Right.
when you talk
Right.
about allergens.
And we would make sure that we would communicate those items that are cross-contaminated and make sure that she's safe, so.
Because they've done a good job of making sure that she feels normal and she can have the meal of the day like everybody
Absolutely.
else and everything like that.
And we don't want to stop the good stuff that's going on, so we just wanna add to, so.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. You want, it's your daughter?
Yeah, Molly.
Yeah, that's the idea of it. You wanna make sure she's just like everybody else, and that's important to all of us in this room. We're all parents to some extent, so we wanna make sure that continues. We're not here to take things away. We're here to add to what you currently have going on, so.
When we went to Masco, I'm also gluten-free, and when we went to Masco to have lunch, I talked to the person that was in charge of the allergy, and I felt confident that what I was eating was something I was able to eat, and there were plenty of options for that. But I do think to have like one parent just feel so, like she had said, she drops her child off in the morning and like isn't concerned at all, that to me is just huge.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure the
Absolutely.
angst that she's probably feeling.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Cause she's
We-
got something that's working now, and then, absolutely.
And that again, that comes down to the team. Everybody's a mom, or a grandparent
dad.
of some sort, or a dad. A lot of the girls, I'm sure, when the child gets registered, they know their name. I mean, that's
Well,
all part
I
of it.
would like to say that because I've had the pleasure of being at the middle high school, years ago, when they had parents in to volunteer just during lunch. And that's one thing I recognized, and I see her over here. I'm talking to you, I don't know your first name. And you knew, like, at the middle high school, you knew all the kids,
Yeah.
and I think that's great. And then when we, just recently went to Pembroke, Lisa, everybody that went to the register, she knew
Right.
the kids were coming, and she already had them up on the screen. So that is huge.
Yeah, and that's huge
It
to
is.
us. That's what Kim mentioned before. Like, why would we want to take that away?
Right.
You wouldn't want to take that away from your program, nor would we.
Mhm.
We're just here to add to the value that they already had. We're here to add more value to it. We have a lot of experience with it. We have, it's our business. It's what we do. We have a lot of marketing that we're going to bring in that's going to, bring excitement to the program. So, we don't want to, it's not a matter of like handing you a 3-inch bind and saying, here, everything you did before was wrong, now do it this way. It's a matter to build upon what you already have in place.
Absolutely.
So,
Taking a lot away from the employees to do that. You're taking a lot away from us.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally
I
understand
could
the
do that.
emotion. We're just gonna try and get through this. I know it's really, I understand it. But if we could just,
So can I ask a question on that same vein about, I heard people being really concerned about, where you're gonna get the employees, people off the street. I heard the answer about the background checks and the quarry, the safety thing. But what is your philosophy about, like, how would you recruit? Where, how does that work?
well, we usually taught the district what's your local source as far as paper and things like that. We have a recruiting department that if we don't get information from the district, they educate themselves on the area, how to do it, unemployment office and things of that nature. But they all go through that process once we interview and feel that person. It's almost like hiring an attitude, train a skill. If someone has the right attitude and their background check is all done, considering that, then it's a matter of training them the skill. Plus, it's important that once we know the team, would that person be the right fit for that team? As far as you want to have the team get along. The work seems to go a lot better that way. A lot of folks have been here a long time. You bring in someone new, it sometimes upsets the apple cart. So we have to, ensure that that's right for them also.
Right, 'cause I think there's probably some nervousness about,
Of course.
like, so let's say someone's in the audience right now and they're listening to this and they're thinking, oh my, if the school committee says yes, what happens to me? What do you do when you go into a district to build, trust
work-
in people?
work
to
right
give them
alongside them.
information, 'cause I would be nervous myself.
The first piece is just the communication and
Right.
setting up that initial meeting with all of your current staff and letting them have the opportunity to have the one-on-one, and we get to know them, they get to know us, and address all their questions and concerns. And because you've got a lot of passion here, and it's very positive.
Yeah, we applaud that. It's
Absolutely.
fantastic. I applaud everybody here.
What would you do then? I'm serious.
I know you are. I know you are, but we're just gonna try to get through this as respectful as possible.
Well, that should
I
be addressed
appreciate
too.
it.
What are they gonna do?
Yeah. What about the benefits? I mean, cutting benefits. Cutting benefits for these people.
So-
Speak on that.
The issue of health insurance for part-time.
Okay, well, let's just continue with the discussion that, we're gonna have, and again, we're gonna try to answer as many of the questions out there that we know that you have. So, let's talk about the comparison benefits, okay? Do you wanna start off with yours, or do you want me to ask specifics?
It's up to you, however you want me to go about this.
Do you have any questions about these, like specifically, when you look at the comparison?
Yeah.
Okay,
It would be good for them to explain what the package would look like.
And it's not the same, so it's hard to do an apples to
I know,
apples.
that's why I enjoyed this, the, the
We tried
comparison
to-
about
yeah,
it.
we tried to-
We can't even show it. I know, well, can we?
I think, I don't know if that machine works.
Well, you would have to have it on.
You can ask them in the, you can ask
If
them.
we don't have, we don't have the information.
Well, I
sent it-
sent it
she
to
sent it.
Suzanne, and of course I didn't print it.
Do you have it in front of you?
So we can probably give you a brief.
What are you talking about? Well,
I
let's-
know what it is, but
Let's
because this is
talk
something we
about,
do every day.
let's just start off talking about like the, paid time off. Yeah.
Our, when we looked at the entire package, our standard paid time off is starting with 8 days. And then after a year.
Can't hear? A little bit
Can you
louder.
not hear?
A
Okay.
little bit louder.
8 paid days is what we included in our price proposal. After a year employment, then, all of the team members would start accruing vacation on top of the 8 days.
Okay.
So starting 8 paid time off days, I'm saying this correct, and
8
then
days, yes.
8 days, and then in addition to that, after they've been with the company for a year, they start accruing vacation time
That's full-time.
for full-time people.
And so what is your full-time criteria? What
It's 30
constitutes-
hours or
30
more.
hours or more.
30 hours?
Which we don't work. Only 2 people work more than 30 hours.
And Carol, can you
Yes,
just tell
I'm
me
sorry.
what is our criteria for considered full-time?
Full-time?
Yeah,
I,
Susan.
well, I think it's over 20 hours is what I think. That's when you,
Well, that's when you
that's
can
when
get
people would be
benefits.
eligible for benefits. I don't think we'd call it full-time
Yeah.
work, but it's when you're eligible for benefits.
When you're eligible for benefits,
I think that's what you're
correct.
asking me,
Okay,
right?
so 20 years.
But it's 30 hours with them?
That's what it was.
And only 2 people work 30 hours or more.
When
How
you
did this
say
hold?
accrued after 1 year,
Mhm.
how much is accrued after 1 year?
Gosh, what is
You
that
start
formula?
accruing after 1 year.
Correct. And it's half a day for every month, because you can have up to 2 weeks after your first full year of employment.
Right.
So
That's what I read.
however that falls out,
So it
yes.
would be 5 days after 2 years, or?
No, after 1 year, you get 2 weeks, but it starts accruing, there's some formula to it, and I'm sorry, I'm not in
Sure, I
HR,
know
but I
they
do know
get
2 weeks
complicated,
after 1 full year of employment starts accruing after that.
Okay, 2 weeks. Okay.
Suzanne, do you have the book?
Yes, I have the
That
book.
we have?
I have the book.
Great.
And it accrues similar to a more of a private company
Yes,
situation.
that's
where
exactly,
it's-
yes,
Right.
that's exactly what it does, yes,
Right.
yes.
So it's on September 1st.
On
You don't
September
have the
1st,
week.
correct.
You have to
half a
accrue
day
it.
as a-
You have to accrue it after your first
The
full year of
PTO
employment,
is
correct.
up front, though. They usually put that in, and if you need the days, you can use them, for
Yes.
doctor's appointments and
Those
that.
don't have to be on a waiting
The 8
period.
days are already given, and it's almost like they're up front, basically.
So if you have insurance now too, does that stop for a year before you can get it again?
Ma'am, I really,
I'm just asking a
I know, I
question.
understand you have questions, but in this type of setting,
Mm-hmm.
we allowed people the opportunity to talk during open community discussion, but now is the time for the school committee business to move forward. So in terms of, like, when they're talking and when we're talking and you're throwing out questions, it just doesn't make sense right now. Again, I understand your emotions, and I'm sure, if you want all these questions answered, if we don't, deliver them to you, we will get them to you, okay?
But will it be too late then? Because it seems like you've already made a decision.
No, I don't think so.
I don't even know
I
how to
won't say
answer that, I
anymore.
mean,
I won't say anymore, go ahead.
okay. All I wanna say to everybody here is, we don't have a decision made, this is what this meeting is about, we've spent hours and hours looking through this. Believe me when I say that, this is not a decision that we are taking lightly at all. So, that is quite a difference though in terms of the benefits with the 20 hours, and then theirs would be the 30, especially with the amount of hours that our employees put in. So that's a concern. Can you tell me about the health insurance?
We have various levels. We've got, and it's through, I believe, through Cigna, and we've got the PPO, and then we've got a premium, a standard, and then a core, and that's based on deductibles. And it is paid Whitson's pays 60% towards a single plan, and then there's a different model for family plans and single plus one.
So when you say deductible, is it deductible based, so all?
It's so we have a PPO, which is the top, and then we've got a premium plan, which is a lower deductible, a standard plan, which is a medium deductible, and then a core plan, which has a higher deductible, but just for somebody to have insurance for catastrophic
Right, and to
purposes,
cover the
correct?
law
Yeah.
right now.
And I believe that's pretty standard in private companies, but
Nice. To be clear, when you say Whitson's pays for it,
pays for 60%.
but at the end of the
Contribution.
day, that all flows back. All those expenses do flow back.
Through
to the
It is a
household, so it's-
reimbursable contract, so yes, so everything, so when we say Whitson's contributes, it's still, everything is reimbursed back from the district, and then we document
We manage
every
it,
piece
and
of
it
that.
gets billed back
Yes,
to the
correct.
program.
To that point, are these, and obviously there's a whole bunch of math behind it, but are these terms in terms of health benefits or PTO or those things, are those adjustable? Since we're footing the bill at the end of the day, would it be possible to look at those plans and assess if PTO is an issue and it's something that we want to address, to price it in?
I'm sure we could work that through the HR department in the district if
Absolutely,
you'd like.
because
yes.
again, you are paying, it's your district, so, and we can certainly take that up with them.
Could you talk about the unemployment option?
Yes.
Where
So currently, the team members are under a 10-month, I guess they get paid 12 months in 10 months. They don't get paid over the summer. Most districts that are self-operated, that's how it operates. With Whitson's, we paid unemployment insurance already. So they have we consider it a benefit. They can collect unemployment over the summertime. They can collect unemployment over the Christmas vacation, the February vacation, the April vacation, depending on the mass law. So I don't know the number of days, but I think if you work 3 days, you can't collect it too. But if you only work 2 days, you can collect the other days. But in the end, when you have the full weeks off, you can collect, and over the summer you can collect. So basically, over the summer it's about 6 weeks, because most schools start the 3rd or 4th week in August. So
that's based on what you have paid to unemployment.
yep, they're eligible. They're under a private company. They're eligible for unemployment.
They could do 8 weeks. They could
Yeah.
do 8 weeks.
They could do 8 weeks though, because.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Whatever their time off
Yeah,
is.
whatever the time off is, they can collect.
26 weeks a year.
Is
Yeah.
they're eligible.
Yeah, whatever time off that whatever time that they're off, they can collect. And then again, based on the number of days they worked in that week. But on the full weeks and the vacations, they're eligible to collect.
Which would be 50% of their pay.
Correct.
It's
Yes.
about, yes.
That's what it is under
Massachusetts,
Massachusetts,
50%,
yes.
And what do we currently offer?
No unemployment.
Yeah, but we pay for vacation time.
We do.
Pay for
The
vacation.
3
The-
weeks
the
vacation.
schedule, right, so that's already in.
Okay, and summer,
Nothing.
that's a punishment.
People get a letter of assurance that they can expect to be hired, so they,
Yeah, they call it, in the industry, they call it temporary layoff. So we don't deny anybody unemployment. They can go down and collect, or a lot of it, once you set up, I think you do a lot of it over the phone.
And the school holidays? Are they paid for those
Same
days?
thing, if, let's use Thanksgiving for example. Most people get paid 3 days for Thanksgiving break. Sometimes they get the Thanksgiving day as a holiday. With the PTO time, they get to utilize it as they want. So if people want a full check that week, they'll use Thanksgiving Day and the Friday to get a 5-day and use 2 of their PTO days. Some people just take the 1 day. I mean, they get to manage the time as they want. They'll see that on the pay stub, and then they get to manage it and use it when they want, basically. But any long vacation, they are eligible to collect.
and some of the holidays probably fall on those, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Not all of them.
Not all,
Right,
but yeah.
like
they-
July 4th and
Yep.
Christmas
Yeah, July
and
and- yeah.
New Year's.
Thanksgiving might be one that doesn't.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, most people use PTO, so they get a full week, because it's in the beginning of the year. So they collected unemployment over the summer, and then when they come back, you're only 2 months in, 2.5 months in, and they usually want a full week's check. But again, they get to manage that as they choose.
So you don't do any, it's 8 days PTO, I get that, you don't do any actual holidays though.
No, PTO is considered paid time off, so they get to utilize it.
And it
anyway.
allows everybody to pick their own holidays and, and due to different religious beliefs, we just get a certain amount of time and then you can choose it.
I believe there's 6 known holidays throughout this 42
Mhm.
weeks of school service. And some of them, as you mentioned, fall
Yeah.
during the week, others fall during the vacation. So although there is 6, they're not gonna use 6 of those days for holidays. But, yeah, like Christmas is on the Christmas break, so they're gonna be on unemployment there anyway.
So they wouldn't need to
And
take a
50%.
PTO.
Yeah, so they wouldn't use it.
Correct.
That week.
Mhm.
Yeah. We wouldn't advise them to use it, but they could do what they want,
I have another question that's sort of a different topic. Can you talk more about the management fee? Specifically, can you speak about what it includes what you do for it, and what do you see as the district's role in working with the management team?
I jump in, Ruth. I think I'm gonna make a broad comment. The reason why we're asking some seemingly basic questions is we've asked questions from Carol and Suzanne to the Whitson's folks, but we actually haven't had the opportunity to speak directly to the Whitson's folks. So if it sounds like we're asking questions that we should already know the answers to, we're making sure that we do it the right way.
That's okay. Can you ask that question?
Sure.
Was it about the management
steps.
fee or the management team?
Can you
Okay.
talk more about
It's
the
the fee and
management
then
fee?
Okay.
Right, I know it's a multi-part question, but specifically, can you speak about what it includes?
Okay.
What you do for it, and what you see as the district's role in working with the management team?
Gotcha, okay. Our management fee, because this is a cost reimbursable contract, everything is paid for by Woodson, so we manage all aspects of the program, and then we get reimbursed by the district. We don't make a profit off of the revenues, off of the participation. The only profit that we make, and this is by contract and by USDA guidelines as per a cost reimbursable contract, is our management fee. Our management fee is our profit. We also charge an administrative fee, which covers all of the overhead costs that we bring into the district, like John and his district managers, all of the support that we bring in on a ongoing basis to support the on-site team here.
Yes, there's no additional cost if someone else showed up to help manage or assist or train.
Correct.
That's all part of that admin.
And from a management team perspective, we would bring in a food service director and have the district, we would bring in our recommendation, and the district would have the opportunity to interview them as well, because we need to make sure that it's the right personality for the district. And then that person would be the day-to-day contact between Whitson's and all of the staff, and then of course administration. And then we have an open line of communications, so if you wanted to contact me or John or any of the other
You also have a
support team.
district manager that would be overseeing the director. That's part of that fee also. They get to work hand in hand with the director and the team, as well as work hand in hand with the district and the partnership.
Does that answer your question, what you were?
So who does the menus and budget?
On-site
food
director does that, but we give them all the tools to do that. It's an online program. That online program consists of purchasing, inventory, reconciliation, sales, recipes,
database,
everything. So we would give them
nutrient
recipes
analysis.
to build their menu with. The unique thing about that program is that every time we have contracted vendors, and we also have contracted pricing. So if a vendor delivered a product and we're contracted at $10 for that product, and they put $12 on the invoice, when the director goes to reconcile it, it gets reconciled at $10. So you're not getting overcharged to $2. You're paying our contracted price regardless of what that invoice says. So the system is built that way where the vendor can't overcharge.
Well,
on any
in
items.
addition, the system is set up to where we have all our menus online, and parents and students can go online and see all the allergen information. But what's more important about our Dine Central system is a parent can sign up for alerts. Like, for instance, Molly's mom can sign up, and I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, but for celiacs, to get alerts in regards to cross-contamination. And so, unfortunately, from time to time, our suppliers may run out of something that we've ordered that fell within the gluten-free guidelines. They're going to substitute that item. If it is a cross-contaminated item, an email would go out to Ashley to alert her that the warehouse had a substitute. It's going to change the make of the meal, so we could potentially have an allergy.
Yeah, we have about 4 or 5 different web-based systems that do a lot of this information. Dine Central is being currently built right now, so phase 1 is to put them all under one umbrella, and that's going to be in phase 2. It's not out yet, but that'll be in phase 2.
But that's what the potential,
It'll have that potential
it's
eventually
a
to do
fabulous
an email
program.
to individuals.
I have another question on the management fee.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
if
yes.
you were-
No, go.
I guess my question, from looking at your proposal, I want to be clear. I don't expect the food services program to be a moneymaker. I want it to be self-sustaining, and self-sustaining means being able to buy tables in the cafeteria when they break, and new equipment in the kitchens and all that. So it's not just paying salaries and food costs. There are other costs to running the operation. If your management fee is a set fee, it's the $20,000, what is your incentive to,
Just for that.
instead of
exact-
breaking even, we actually need to make $20,000, and I'm pulling a number out, we need to make $20,000 to cover all of our expenses. What's your incentive if you're getting paid your 20 or 35, sort of no matter what happens?
Well, can I?
That-
You
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead.
As the operator, I'll answer it. It's a very good question. Our incentive is to build partnerships. I don't want to just be here for a year with the team. I want to work with the team and move forward. We don't just base it on the fees, just like I said, our name's on it, our company's name's on it. We have a proven track record, so we're here to work and be a partner. This isn't just a business plan, it's a partnership. We would have to come face you at the end of the year and give you a report of where we were, and that's difficult to do if we're not in a scenario we want to be. We want to build a program where you can take care of those costs. Those take care of the team, the food, and all that stuff. The additional costs, like you're saying, repairs on equipment. Sometimes there's equipment in the building that's been broken down for a long time and it just isn't a priority right now. Things like that, those are things that you want to be able to pay for out of that, instead of taking out of your operating budget, where you want to be a self-sustaining program where they can do everything on their own. And it'll take some time to get there, because, again, we got to get in here and see exactly what's going on. We're only here once, but it's a matter of, based on our experience, and building the program for the district. That's the partnership.
Does that, I assume that fee changes year over year?
Only
the
based on
contract-
CPI.
Yeah, it's
increase.
CPI, but the
Okay.
CPI is negotiable. When you look at CPI, like this year's 2.5%, it's about 500 and change, depending on what your current fee is. It's not a lot of money, and again, that's negotiable. It's a contract, so
Right.
if you say, keep the fees the same, we can't go for an increase because the program is at a break even.
Right.
It's negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
So with the 28 districts that you have here in Massachusetts, have you gone into a district and, after a year or two, your partnership ended? Or what is the track record with that?
We haven't lost any after
We
a
haven't
couple
lost
years
any
now.
contracts from, in Massachusetts, it's a year contract with 2-year renewals, and we haven't lost any contract in Massachusetts to date. We have our original district we started in, which was Tingsboro, to this date. We still have it. We have our original Connecticut district that we started to this date, and we have our original New York district that we started to this date.
And
So,
does that go back 38 years? 'Cause that's what
yeah,
you said.
we
Not the
started in
Tingsboro, I'm
contract
sure.
management. No, that's our first district in Mass.
In
Right.
Massachusetts,
Which
yeah.
was, when did you introduce
Is that
yourselves?
8 years, almost 10 years, I want to say?
10
Right?
years ago.
10 years
Besides,
ago?
It's been around 10 years, yeah. 10
I can
years
get
ago.
it for you, I
Mhm.
think it's 10 years
Mhm.
ago.
That's when we entered into Massachusetts.
Yeah, so we have our original contracts in each of the states of New York, Connecticut, and Mass. And when we got our first one in New Hampshire, we still have that one as well.
Sure, Heather.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
What about Newton, Massachusetts?
Yeah, Newton, Mass was out to bid. It was a bid process.
So
We
you
lost
have-
that
you have that
competitive
account. I
bid.
know the director there. Now it's Sodexo.
I thought you were gonna ask me a question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just want.
You did lose an account in Massachusetts.
I guess it was more of a, I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
This is in a press release from the Attorney General's office in New
Yeah,
York.
they're not here to address those though. I'm
But
sorry.
they defrauded taxpayers and had to make a settlement. I think they should answer to taxpayers if they did that.
But not during this particular type of setting. That is, I also was aware of that too. I mean, we've done our due diligence in looking in the background of the company.
It
but
said that there were
they're not-
multiple investigations in the state of Massachusetts as well.
They said they wanna work side by side with the people, but they won't even acknowledge a word they say. They just.
The press release from the Attorney General's office says that there are investigations in Massachusetts.
Okay.
In Massachusetts.
If they can't answer those questions, then I guess we'll have
I
to
can answer.
Well, it's
have
not,
other
no,
people
it's,
get the
no,
answers.
it's not that they're just not here to do that tonight, and it's not that they're not willing to answer that. I just don't think in this setting, that's what they're here for.
So what setting would they answer that question?
Oh, well, I'm sure you can contact their office,
They're not gonna, okay. I'll,
you know.
John, are you
it's-
willing to speak to that? It
It's
sounds
up
like
to you.
you
I
are.
can answer that.
Do you wanna just give him
I
a
could
shot at
certainly
that?
answer that.
Okay. Sure.
Would you like me?
Sure.
I didn't finish my question.
So, well, you asked about the Attorney General, the
It
factual.
said that there was a statement released that you guys settled
It's
for
not just
one.
us. I'll explain it to you.
I just want to finish my question.
I thought
It was
okay.
$1.6 million that you settled with, and it spurred, oh, you think it's funny?
No, I don't think it's funny. I'm just.
Oh, no, he doesn't think it's funny.
I don't think it's funny. It's a very serious matter, and I want to.
And it
let
spurred
you know how
multiple
that all transpired.
it spurred multiple investigations in New Jersey, Massachusetts, the District of Columbia. And they stated that you defrauded taxpayers because you had sweetheart deals with food and material vendors, and you did not pass these savings to New York schools in violation of federal and state law. You were required to pay $1.6 million to the state and the affected school districts, and must comply with reforms to improve transparency. So what did you do to improve
Okay,
transparency, and what happened?
So the reason why the Attorney General looked into that wasn't just with Whitson's. It was all vendors.
So you're
It was the way.
blaming
I mean,
other
I'm going
people,
to answer you.
taking
though.
accountability.
If you let me answer you, I would appreciate it. Okay. So the way it works is this: they looked at every single vendor that did it. There's a gray area in the contract information in New York, and they investigated every single company. That includes Chartwells, Aramark, Sodexo, Whitson's. We were the first ones that they investigated. We were the first ones that settled with them, and we were done with it after that. That's all it was. It was a gray area in the contracts that they wrote, that USDA and all them wrote, not that we wrote. It was a gray area they had in there, and they wanted to correct that. Attorney General hit it, and that was what transpired. It is not in Massachusetts on the way. It says that, but that article was how long ago, and that's what was stated.
2011.
I could get you
And
written,
if I could
2011.
And when that happened with the Attorney General in New York, and it sparred all this in the industry, they did look into other states to make sure that that was not going on in other states, and there was not a misinterpretation of how the RFPs and the ITBs were written. And so the misinterpretation happened at the State Department, it happened within the industry, and that was a result.
And I'm sure you understand why the question is being
Of
asked.
course,
Because
no,
of course, when the company name comes out,
When
the
you
first
Google,
thing you do-
absolutely,
And that is the
absolutely, I would
first
have
thing
the
that I
same
had-
question.
I had come
Absolutely.
across, so we
No,
appreciate you
it's
answering that.
understandable.
And I can give that to you in writing. We
Yeah.
have the letter from them and everything, so
It's a very fair question.
we can supply that to
Okay, I'll get some.
Yeah, you could just bring it to us.
I just have another a question. One of the reasons, if we voted to bring you on, we would be certainly expecting you to increase participation significantly. And I was wondering if you could tell me about some of your experience with other districts in Massachusetts and how that increase has gone over the first year and then over later. And then you had also talked about concepts.
I didn't explain what they were.
When
yes.
when we visited Masco and Haverhill, there were different stations.
Yeah, that's concepts, sorry.
Right,
Yes.
different. Now, in the proposal, I noticed you had a plan for the high school. You've looked at the footprint.
Yes.
Somewhere else I saw that you were going to introduce 5 stations, but on the footprint, it looks like 10 stations to me. And then I was also wondering, Cheryl, it's hard to.
The stations rotate.
So I have a number of questions. Well,
Yeah, there's-
how would you improve, change, what kind of station plan would you have for the high school as well as for Pembroke? I don't recall seeing a plan for Pembroke, although there may well have been there.
And, well, the
Stop there.
confusion with no, those are all good questions, in regards to the station concepts versus what's on the plan, the diagram. In order to introduce more food options to the students and increase participation, because we have a captive audience, we rotate those stations. And that's why you see different station
So you may
concepts.
see 2 on one
Right.
steam table,
And
but
we
it's because
wanted
we're
you to
rotating
try
them.
to, in that space, give you a clear picture of what we're trying to
It is a
convey.
limited
Yeah.
Yes, right.
I mentioned earlier also that every school and every district's different. So this is our first initial idea of what concepts we want to offer, but we're so flexible in the different concepts and the different offerings. When we get feedback from the team as well as students, we can rotate in and out concepts as we move along. It's just another oval, different oval. But all the recipes are built in the system that they have access to any one of them. But it's a matter of this is what we think will work here based on your footprint, and that can change on the likes and dislikes of the kids.
And if one of those concepts, if we see that one station concept doesn't have any participation increases, well, then it's time to find out what it's gonna take to increase participation. And like John mentioned, talk to the students.
The elementary school, although the high school is built on stations and or concepts, the elementary is built on our award-winning nutrition safari program. So it's almost like the old Popeye with spinach. You build muscle, you'll build, and so on. These characters represent each different food group, and all that marketing material is included in your proposal. And it attracts the kids to those certain items on the line, and they want to commit. They want to see the character. We could do character visits. There's a little footprints that you could put in. So we want to generate excitement to them, where we want to drive them to the line and participate. So we have different programs that can help that and drive the sales.
I have a question for Heather, if you don't mind. I remember when my kids were in Pembroke, and Pam was saying the same thing with the ice cream days. If we forgot to give them ice cream money, we had to rush down and give them ice cream money. So what right now is what do you do do we have an ice cream day?
It's a great question. So the current Pembroke handbook actually only allows for ice cream to be sold on Fridays. And it says specifically that we,
So on Fridays?
that's the only opportunity to sell them, and based on the 20-minute meal periods that we have, and the double lunches that we have for 2 of them, it just didn't strike us as feasible.
Right.
And so we didn't pursue that option, and it's something that, you know, we would be happy to work with the district to add on if it was something that you wanted to pursue.
And is that the same with the snacks?
Yes. In the handbook, the Pembroke handbook, it says that the only thing that's allowed is ice cream on Fridays.
Julia, do you remember those days?
I do. Everyone look forward to it.
And why were
loves
those
ice
taken
cream.
out? I wish Margaret were here to help me answer that question. I can't say for certain. We've been without it for so long, it's kind of been like, why would we
Thinking maybe it
get
didn't
back?
adhere to some nutritional value or something.
Well, with 20 minutes for meal service and, you know, socialization, and we're trying to encourage them to take that time to really consume the great fresh fruits and vegetables that we offer every day, it seems like adding a la carte options, regardless of whether they are smart snacks, would detract from that mission.
Mine's not a question. Mine's a question about the program. If our goal is to improve nutrition and have kids eat good fruits and vegetables and all of this stuff, why is everyone saying, well, we can make a fortune if we sell ice cream? I don't. The solution is selling ice cream that destroys the mission of the program. I don't. I'm having trouble with that on you guys and on the current system. I don't understand. If the only solution is to sell our kids stuff that we don't want them to eat, there's a bigger problem here than
And
just.
I don't think anyone's suggesting that's the only problem. I think it was just an example that we had quick data for. So, I mean, you know that the program is like very multifaceted and very complex. There are a number of options that we could employ to help generate revenue streams, as I mentioned in my statement. Not limited to ice cream sales. We're open. We're ready to
Fruit platters, cheese platters, there's many revenues to do it. It doesn't have to be ice cream. We were just sharing the revenues that was lost, but there's definitely better avenues to take, and we can definitely change that, absolutely. That's definitely workable. Just giving you just references.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the Dime Central ERP Enterprise Resource Planning program that you have, and how long have you been using that, and how does it help move the program forward? What does it do for you?
That was the program that John had mentioned when we were talking about all of the different programs that at one point were separate programs and we're migrating to putting it all under one roof. So it's got inventory.
It's got inventory, it's got revenue, it's got purchasing, menu program.
Supply management.
Yeah. Any of that, what happens is that if obviously it's electronic, it's gonna make it easier to do some analysis on, cross references, like our sales program. You go in and pick a range of dates and get information. Once you put data into it, you can get information from it. And you could do sales comparisons from day to day. You could do comparisons, from one Friday to another. If you had an item on the menu on the first of the month, and then you also had it on the last day of the month, you can compare those two dates. It could do a range of dates, at a week's time or 2 weeks' time, a month's time. It gives you a lot of, once you input data into it, you can have it. When you step into a new district, the prior data is manually until you get that into it. But the program's built, even for purchasing, I mentioned before, it's all a contracted pricing. Everything's reconciled right then and there. Eventually, in a different phase, each school had their own tablet, and they'll be able to take their, when the invoice comes in, when the vendor delivers, they'll have it electronically already, and just check it off with their fingertip of when it came in. So we'll be paperless to some extent. And then, again, it goes through the system and reconciled, and with the contractor prices, you're not getting overcharged. So everything's, through that system, basically, from menu to purchasing to sales. It organizes it. That's basically what it comes down to, and you get data from it.
So, Suzanne, how does that sound like it compares to the systems that we have to offer?
Well, right now.
You have a POS, right?
We have a POS system, which, houses the sales and the meals sold, but we don't have the meal planning program.
Inventory,
compliance, not software.
The menu program,
That's it.
yeah, the way the menu program works also is it's called a green light, red light. So the director can go in there, and if they're not really that experienced at building a menu, it'll give you the green light if the menu's a full reimbursable item, to have all 5 items on it, and it moves you forward to the next day. If it doesn't, it'll give you a red light, and you have to do, because there's vegetable subgroups you have to meet within a week and so on. So that program can educate you on how to design a menu based on the requirements, basically.
Did you have a question about our forecasting as well?
yes, yeah, how do you do that?
Our managers are trained in how to complete production records, and they use historical purchase data to forecast how much food they're going to need to be making for the next time they menu it. So we are trained in how to do that. And as far as inventory, I actually made a free Google Doc inventory that keeps track of it, that both schools can see, so they can see in real time what we have.
So it's a Google-based
Spreadsheet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Does anyone else on the committee have questions for Whitson's or?
Well, I just wanted to touch on one thing that I know you talked about a little before. I know as a committee and as a community, we do greatly value our cafeteria workers. And the fact that you're willing to take them and continue to value them is what I'm hearing. Is, I don't know what the word, I guess I'd like you to talk a little bit more about how you're a family-run business, how you maintain sort of that family through what you're doing, and how these workers, if we were to outsource, and if they did choose to work for your company, how they would feel valued.
No, that makes sense. I'm gonna let John answer that, because he.
Oh, I have to say, in my life, not just Whitson's, I'm all about team, all about people, and part of our foundation, in our philosophy, as Kim mentioned, was people. We cannot run an operation without great people. We cannot have a team with just one individual. We build our company and our organization on family. It's a family-run business. It's a family-owned business. You won't get that with any other vendor out there. We're not going to go across the lake to get answers on things. I go right to an owner. So starting at that point forward, when we go through orientation, I understand the folks and their passion, and that's great. They don't know us. They don't know me as an individual. I will get to know them as individuals. I know they're part of the community, and that's the biggest thing that we can build upon. Because I mentioned before, we're not saying that anything was horrible before. The district's not saying anything was horrible before. I haven't heard that at all. It's what can we do to build upon the program that's already in place, and keep the same people in doing so. But I think that's the whole key is about people. People are the foundation of every business. You wouldn't have a committee together if it was only one individual. You had to have different opinions and different thoughts, and we want them to understand that their thoughts do count. As a matter of fact, in our orientation, we hand out a piece of paper that says, "Tell us what you know. Is there a piece of equipment that you need in your kitchen that's going to make the line flow better? Is the different menu items that you want to try and offer that you haven't been able to do in the past?" Anything you want to write on that without putting your name down, just say what school you're in. You could tell us what you know, tell us what you want to do. They're part of the process. This isn't a situation where, again, I say we come in, we bring a busload of people. They're part of the process. This is their community just as much as it is the committee's community. We're here to do the right thing by the kids, and like I said, I can't stress enough to build upon what they already have in place. It's not negating anything they already done, or what they have in place, it's to build upon that.
I know it varies from place to place, but do you find that when places make this transition, that a high percentage of people actually do join on?
Yes, yep. People that are part of the community want to stay and work and still serve the kids that they're serving.
Yeah.
That's just individuals themselves, that's what they do. This isn't a career move for a lot of people. A lot of times it's because they call it earn while your children learn. A lot of moms have done it because their kids were in school at one time and they end up liking it and they end up doing it. There are others that are in the culinary field, as the high school gal mentioned, and it works for her schedule. Monday through Friday, there's no nights, no weekends, unless there's a catering and things of that nature, which is very rare. So I think that's where people come together, and we're serving children. At the end of the day, we're serving children of the community. We're not just they're not just customers. The kids, they know their names. I think that's the very unique thing about our business, meaning the school lunch business itself. Not here, not in the district next door. It's every district. We're out there serving kids. I know Heather can attest that. She's a director. So it's and an RD, I believe, right? So that's what it's all about. It's about serving healthy, nutritious meals and building upon what you have and keep moving forward. What are people looking for? How they want to change? We can offer the different things that districts themselves struggle in offering, as far as the marketing, the backup management, the purchasing programs, the menu programs. These are all things that can hopefully make their job easier and more efficient. Whereas it's right now it's Excel sheets or Google, and it makes it very difficult. The director probably spends a lot of time putting that together and educating themselves on how these things work. So it's not easy. I give them a lot of credit. I really do.
So John, can you tell me a little bit about the catering that your company offers?
Oh, we can cater from a basic cheese plaza, like she mentioned, to a full-blown awards dinner. We do in many of our districts. A lot of districts, to save money, they do in-house catering. They do the awards banquets within the cafeteria, and they decorate it and so on. And we have districts that do everything that they do in that district, whether it be from an administrative coffee setup to a full-blown dinner. That's really up to the district. We have a catering menu that we can offer, and it's a sample menu, and then we go through that together and say what works, what doesn't work. We can minimize the size of that, and we can talk about pricing. Again, you guys approve all the pricing. So
And the
it could be
benefit-
extensive, and it could be as minimal as you want.
And the benefit is all of the revenue still
Stays
stays
within the
within
district.
your district account.
Yeah, so you're moving funds from, usually from a PO one area to another area, but it stays within. That's
Does
it.
where does the labor to do that catering come from? Is that overtime? Is that
If it's during the,
added on to during the
it
day?
depends on the, what
What
the
the-
item is. A basic coffee
the
setup like they
extent.
do now is during the day. It's typically during the work hours, but anything after hours would be extra time, and they would be, they have to be compensated for that.
Of course.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The talking about how many people join what after a transition, how many people stay with Whitson's or join whatever you want to call it. What is you were very vague in your experience. What percent stay, and then what percent are still there 5 years later?
Over 90% stay. Definitely over 90%. Yeah, like I said, people are part of the community. I probably should have gave you a percentage. I apologize, but It's usually over 90%. We run into some districts where people are ready to retire, depending on how long they've been there. So you may lose a couple because of retirement. There's a couple that you may lose because they're just not on the same wavelength as the committee in the direction that they're going in. But for the most part, it's pretty unique where people start to understand where we're going and what we're trying to do, that it's all about them and the kids. And then they end up all of a sudden, I mean, at the end of the day, the team, we're gonna give the tools, the team's gonna get the accolades, not us. Our name's on it, yes, but then the kids see them, they don't see me, they don't see anybody else. They'll see me there, but they'll see the person that's serving them, they'll see the cashier that's, taking, their information from them. They're not, they'll get the accolades and the pats on the back, not us. We're only here to provide you the
That's what we
tools.
want.
We're getting paid to provide you the tools to bring it to a different level. So yeah, it's definitely in the 90th percentile, there's, without question.
And does that 90% hold, I'm gonna say 5
Yeah,
years
oh,
later?
yeah,
I mean, it's
again,
not a-
and
we
through,
stick it out for a
again,
year.
like
Yeah,
people
it
leave
does.
due to retirement.
For sure.
Yep, and things
That's
like
the
that,
case
yes,
anywhere,
yes.
obviously.
Normal activity as far as people leaving, yes. Not to the point where like, oh my God, this isn't what we wanted, we're out of here. I've never had a mass,
Exodus now.
exodus go on.
Now, you talk about a director of the food service program, you would consider hiring our very highly, no? If she was interested, no, okay.
Well,
We'd work with them on
Yeah.
on getting the director for the
Yeah, we
program.
haven't gone that far yet, but we.
No, we
yeah,
wouldn't go
thought
that far, we don't know if we're
Yeah.
gonna
okay, I-
we're gonna go with them.
It would be, would the door be open or?
There's an interview process. There's
Right.
definitely an interview
Right.
process, yes.
Right, that's what I'm
Anybody who
talking
feels
about. I'm
they're-
not talking about,
If
community
anybody feels they're
members.
eligible for the position, absolutely.
Right,
We have
anybody
some.
can interview for the position.
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. We're very open to that. And the district will be part of that. Once we come up with a couple of candidates, they have the final.
Absolutely.
We usually let the district have the final say in who they feel is right.
Because we need, again, to make sure it's gonna be the right fit, the right personality.
Right.
So then in this situation, if we did choose to go to the outsourcing, you would be their primary contact, right?
Suzanne would have to absorb, when you read that article that you put together, you know how they talked about what the district's responsibilities would
Monitoring.
be
So she would
between
be
the
like the
director
signature
and
and-
she would have to be the one who's certified, checked on the, what do you call it, certifications.
Administrative
and-
pieces.
She'd have to do some of those administrative pieces.
Right. And those administrative pieces right now, are those covered by Heather's
Heather and-
secretary?
Yes, Heather and Tracy would probably work on those
That
two
would be
things.
me.
Oh, hi,
Hi.
I've never met you before.
No, I'm Tracy.
Hi, very nice to meet you.
As well.
Okay, so that's what, that job description would then be you.
Yeah, and a combination, I
Business
think
ops.
what we understood from the conversation was that because the management structure is different and there's additional support from who's the person that's above the director?
District manager.
Between the district manager and the director and.
We're not permitted to do free and reduced applications.
No,
That's
right,
what
by
we're
law.
saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
by law, they
Yeah.
can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any questions for Whitson's, otherwise? It's getting late.
Can I ask you a question?
You wanna ask me a question?
Well, the whole committee. I understand that Haverhill, those employees did stay, but they're still currently, employees of the city of Haverhill. They're not Whitson's employees, so they didn't lose all their benefits.
Okay, did you go in as like
No,
a management
yeah, so,
situation?
so yes, you're absolutely right. We looked at both Haverhill and Masco because they did do two different models. When we did the RFP, there were certain terms and conditions that were included in that. And we didn't look at the management option, just outsourcing management and keeping employees inside. So because of the way the law is written and the bidding procurement laws, we wouldn't be in a position for the committee to say, at this point in time, when they vote on this, they're gonna have to vote on what the RFP called for, right? Certainly, they could vote no and say, we wanna go out and do an RFP for management only. I mean, there's all those things are possible. But you're right, in Haverhill, that's what they did. They outsourced to Whitson's the management, and then they retain the employees in their town, right? And Masco, which was the other one we looked at, outsources
They're all Whitsons.
everything, they're all Whitsons, but when you first transitioned, I thought I remembered Susan Gibbons saying that they, you worked with them in that first year, but then,
I think that was a different company.
oh,
Yeah, that wasn't us.
Oh.
They had other vendors prior to us.
okay.
Yep,
That's
that's
right.
correct, though. They were.
But you're correct, that is a difference.
Is it possible to do that one, like Haverhill did?
Well, we'd have to go through another, RFP process.
But
We'd
we
have
have
to do this.
contracts coming up, so.
We'd have to do the same thing again, but do it in the timeframes and all that, but put the RFP together, having people come in and bid on the management only. It's just it's a process, right, that we would have to go through.
I'm so sorry, I know we want to wind down, I just, there was one more point of clarity that I was hoping you could elaborate on. So it sounds like, and I was, not understanding correctly when I was, sort of explained all of this before, it sounds like I would have the opportunity to interview for my job next year. And I'm just curious about how that reconciles with the remaining year on my contract.
Well, we'd have to talk about that with you privately, Heather. I don't know, we don't know the answer to that. But
That wouldn't be a
that wouldn't
committee
be
decision.
that wouldn't be a
That's
committee decision, we'd have to figure that out.
The vote is happening. The only reason I bring it up is, it just concerns me if the vote is
Well,
happening.
sure, of course, I'm sure it concerns you, we understand. But I don't think that would have a bearing necessarily on the committee's vote. We do have to work with you on that, however, whatever way it goes. Obviously, if the answer is no, there's no outsourcing, then that's kinda easy, right? But if it went the other way, we would work with you and talk with you about how that would work. That'd be unique to you, Heather, I think. I mean, concerning, I get it.
Any other questions?
But I just want to clarify that, say, over a year ago, because the contract was coming to a close, 2017, that's the food
Yes,
program.
Yes.
That's when,
Cafeteria.
that's why we started the process during
Yes.
negotiations.
Right.
We figured we would be upfront and say this is what the option, we are thinking that this could be an option. So when Cheryl and I, as the negotiation subcommittee, met with the union, we explained that right up front, just to be clear, and we didn't want to continue in the negotiation process if that was the way we were gonna go. And if it's not the way we're gonna go, we're gonna start up that process
Right.
immediately.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have wanted to, interfere with a contract that was already going, right? So it was the natural transition, so that's why the process went through this
Right.
year, when it
And
was
that's why it's been
discussed in
over
the
a year.
past, we just didn't wanna do that.
Could I just ask an insurance question real quick? So in the benefits, so basically anything, if you go to work for Whitson's, you have to be there a year and you have to work 30 hours a week plus to qualify for insurance?
It's not a year.
Is that how it goes? And what about paid days off? Do you have to be there for a full-time employee?
90 days, 30 hours.
So, could you just say that again, John, a little louder?
Like, can you hear that?
90 days probation,
Right.
and then it's, they're sent a package and so on and so
Uh-huh.
forth.
So it's
that's
30
not-
hours
that's
or more.
something we already have. Okay.
That's only for
We have to
people with
earn
30
it
hours.
back.
Yeah, that's what he clarified, he
Yep.
said, right, yes.
So,
Okay.
well, I just wanted to,
We gotta keep in mind, we are gonna try and take a vote tonight.
yeah, I just wanted to clarify, if we were to choose not to outsource
Yep.
and rewrite a proposal management-wise, that would have to be after the next contract cycle?
No,
No.
no, I think, I think you could determine how you wanted to do that, when you wanted to do that.
Because that wouldn't be tied to the union contract
employees.
It wouldn't be
timeline.
tied to the union, but it just gets a little tricky as to when you wanna do it. So like, let's say you decided you were gonna put an RFP together in September and put it out. Well, you're gonna award it, but then it's 6 or 9 months until you actually do it. So I think you just have to kind of pay attention to that. But you just go through you would have to go through the process again, which we'd help you with if that's what the way you want to go.
What's your mix of sort of the all-in versus the management only in the 38 schools or 38, whatever?
Most of them are, they're our team members. The majority are our team members.
You mean you run the entire program, is
Yeah.
that what that means?
Yep.
Do you know out of the 28 in Mass, how many do just the management? only side?
We've got.
And I won't hold you to the number, but roughly.
Is it 3 or is it 15? I think
There's
it's
a list of who they are. I can-
I know Haverhill certainly is
Yeah,
just a
Haverhill's
management-only contract, and of course, my mind is
Not
completely gone
Lexington.
blank.
Is Haverhill a new?
We've
No.
been there, no, we've been there for.
Over 10.
Yeah, they said they've been there a while.
Yeah, we've been there.
Mhm.
I'm just going down the list. Lexington's not.
Lexington's team members, the,
Hudson.
we have a blended,
Hudson.
team members where some are paid by the town at Easton, some are paid by Whitson's, and that was
I think it's
set up on the
4.
contract.
Is that the
That's
because
the
it was a
blended piece.
transition, so as long as they were, there, you kept them? Do you have the town keep them and then?
That's how they set up,
Yeah, and
that's how
as
the town
they,
set up their.
as they
correct.
hire, then
Yeah,
it's
correct.
what's it.
Yeah.
It's, I wanna say it's about 8.
Winchester's like.
I could get it for you, we'll go down the list,
Yeah.
it's about,
Okay. Yeah.
I wanna say it's about 8.
But that's not
6
how
to
we
8.
wrote here.
Yes, no, I
we
totally
can't change
understand.
the terms
Yeah,
that
no, I
came out.
totally understand
Yeah.
that. Okay, we really appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody think it would be cooler in here if we open that door? Do we wanna try? We put the fan down?
Jim, we did shut that fan off.
Yeah,
We can
maybe a door-
turn the fan
can
on,
you
I
put a
just wanna make
chair
sure
there,
everybody can
maybe?
hear.
Oh, you got, I'm dying.
It is hot in here.
The only time I like to sweat is when I'm running, and I'm not running right now.
I apologize to all of you.
Thank you.
Oh, that
I
definitely
can already-
helps.
Well, and that helps too, I can already feel the
Oh,
fan.
wow. Just have to talk
This is pointing
loud.
at you.
I know.
That helps a lot.
Okay, so I think now what we need to do is, we need to, as a committee, just, we've got a lot of information tonight, we've had a lot of information over the past couple of weeks. I think we now all need to just talk about how we're feeling, what we're, how do we wanna go about this? Who wants to start? Well, I do wanna start. I know that the school committee approves the student handbook. And I know when we do that and when the change in, the whole birthday celebrations and things, I have consistently said that I'm not in favor of the new protocol. Because I just remember how much my kids enjoyed, so-and-so's birthday today or my birthday. And I'm sure Julia can recall, I used to go into Pembroke and there'd be just cupcakes everywhere because it was someone's birthday. I really think that is something that we need to discuss further with Margaret. I know it's probably gonna be a difficult conversation. I don't know if my committee members agree.
No, I don't
if
think it's a
worth-
difficult conversation with Margaret. I think the issue is, we have a wellness policy.
We
It's
do have
right,
a
so
wellness
it
policy.
had, it had
You
to
know.
I remember clearly
It had to
now
do
that
with
it
the
had
wellness
everything to
policy.
do with the wellness program that was being instituted at the time, and that
No,
that
that's
wasn't
probably gonna be
part- unless
relaxed
they
a
want
little if you
carrots and
follow in the
celery.
news lately, that they're being less restrictive on fats and,
Mhm.
and salts and
Right,
that
so
kind
we
of
can
stuff,
talk
so,
about
you know.
Right.
Well, I think that the
Peanut
merging of
allergies.
the Pearly and the Pembroke also brought
Yes.
about
Yeah.
a change.
That's right.
They
It's
kind
true.
of stuck more with the Pearly idea of not allowing those snacks. They had previously allowed them at the Pembroke. And then
It really was a
they merged
wellness
it,
thing,
and
yeah.
they came up with kind of Pearly policy.
Because remember, the original
Which we-
recommendation was no birthday celebrations,
right.
remember?
Yeah.
So,
I
so
do
it,
recall
it,
that.
it morphed into.
It was a little bit of a give and take,
Yes.
more give. No.
a candle and a carrot.
So, I do wanna reiterate that I enjoyed taking the time to go to both Pembroke and Georgetown Middle High School and experiencing the kids in Georgetown. I wanted to see what they went through in terms of lunches. I thought it was great. A couple of things that I think I had noticed that I would like to see change, and I don't think it's something that can't be changed, would be the flow of the students and the amount of time that the kids wait in line.
Silly question, but maybe at the high school level, could they possibly order lunch ahead of time? So, I mean,
Well, the teachers can, I don't know. Is that something
I mean, it's
that-
just something for the future. I know that Bobby said, I've never experienced it, I haven't seen it, but they had gone, they said the lines kind of take quite a while and they clog up.
It's a great suggestion.
What if they could order lunch ahead of time and it would either be, you know, because Dunkin' Donuts is doing it now, but, you know, so that it could, so it could, you know, it could be ready for them and they come and it's already done, you know, and already paid for if it's on their account and they just come pick it up.
Something similar. Triton does an order ahead for their deli bar because they're not able to, work with what they've got and just make it work like our awesome, we do every day. And it's what they do is they send down a form to order their special sandwich, and if they don't pick it up, they still charge the
charge.
amount for, I think,
Yep.
just like a portion of it.
I'm just
I don't know if that's still the
curious
model
if it's a
that they do.
possibility. I don't know, just to
Well, I
unclog
think
the
it might,
lines.
I think it might be just hard, like with a hot meal, to put, because I think they.
Especially with made to order things, which is something that we discussed.
I don't know.
But I could
think
just-
it's a possibility.
Just something.
But with that being said too, I did, I enjoyed the opportunity too, to go and see what an outsourcing cafeteria looked like. Because it was quite different. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Do you agree that it was a different?
And the lines did move remarkably fast.
Yes.
And the stations were
But is that also because you went to a larger?
Oh, it was certainly a much
Oh, yeah, it
larger
was definitely
district,
different.
yeah, and
Right.
it was a big
So-
cafeteria,
Mhm.
sure.
I mean,
And there were a lot of people were,
too.
Okay.
But there was-
So, comparison-wise, apples to apples, it was still.
it's well, it definitely
It's
was.
hard to
I mean,
compare.
Yeah, it wasn't apple to apple.
I don't mean it that
Such a
way,
high-
but I'm saying that, you know, in comparison, they still had the long lines, we still have long lines.
I think it was distributed a
Well,
little differently because
okay.
you had more choices, right? So people weren't going into a location to get
They had
a couple of meals. They knew, I'm going here if I want something from the grill, I'm going here if I want something from Italian, I'm going here if I
Okay.
want. So the kids moved through the lines quickly because they knew what station they were going to. So I think that's the difference that we saw.
So the great thing that we have here tonight with us is a student. I don't wanna put you on the spot at all, Julia, but I would like to ask you a couple of questions just as a student.
Okay.
Do you purchase lunch, like on average?
Yes.
You do. So, do you, huh?
It would have been a much shorter thing if you said you don't order.
Right. Do you find that, the amount of time that it takes to wait in line, get your food, and then sit down, you have enough time with your friends to?
Yeah, I do. I feel like we're all just used to it by now. It's really not that bad. It's
Okay.
fine. It works. Yeah.
Okay. So we can go with what Mr. Lucia says in terms of our lunches are too long and we should cut them to 20 minutes?
No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay. And do the majority of your friends order?
Yeah, we do. And I agree with everyone that all the women are like moms to a lot of us, and they know our lunch order on the back of their hand, and it's just, that won't happen anywhere else, and I just, yeah.
So, what, anybody else?
We do have some numbers here, and, you know, over the past year, the middle high school lunch participation has gone down October to October, 5,495 to 4,611.
Do you have that difference?
Yeah.
Last year to this year?
Yes.
So this year with the new charting policy, when kids are not as easily able to just come up and charge, that might have impacted that figure.
Which actually helps us in a way, because then it
Yes,
doesn't
I know.
accumulate.
I'm not complaining at all.
Yeah, no,
I mean, but the participation has gone down November to November, December to December, January to January, February to February. February to February, it's 3,877 to 2,900 over the past year.
Can there be any outreach to see what the kids want? Like, hey, this is what we offer, but the kids want
Well, so
pizza and this and
Just
that.
this part of the discussion, I think it's hard because you look like you're addressing Heather.
I'm sorry.
But this part of the discussion should be just with us. So if you just wanna like, so this is what you find, and
This is what I found for, you know, the middle high school.
Right.
And the same can be said for Pembroke lunch. Now, Pembroke breakfast, of course, has gone up.
Yeah.
My numbers show more that they've doubled. And, you know, the middle high school breakfast, after initial 1 month bump over the last year, has gone down.
Which one was that, middle high
The-
school?
Yeah, middle high school breakfast.
Okay.
You know, I appreciate that, you know, I wish we had more resources, I wish we had, you know, I don't mean to imply that the people we have with the equipment and the resources that we have could be doing anything more, because I don't believe that they could. I think they're doing the very best they can, and I'm very impressed and appreciative, and, you know, I have a son who buys every day. I also have a son who doesn't.
Right.
But that's not
Right.
because of what's served, that's just him.
So, I'd like to explore just a little bit, so I can have a full understanding, that if we do go to the outsourcing, we would be able to maintain the workers under. No?
What are you asking, Suzanne? Can you
Under-
finish
Like
the question?
Haverhill, like what
No,
Haverhill.
no,
yeah.
because the RFP
we didn't
was
bid it that
not
way.
bid that way. The RFP was bid as Whitson all in. So, which
And it
is
can't
why,
be
which is,
modified.
no, it would
not-
have to be a whole new.
Would have to
We
be
would
whole
be
new one.
changing the scope. We would be
Yeah.
violating 30B.
Right. So with the
Which
RFP
is
process, I know.
I know.
Because it's such a long process, but with the RFP that we did, establish, it did put in the request to have our employees be considered
That's
first.
right.
So,
I mean, I'm sorry to do this, but just along with numbers, the school lunch deposit revenues for the year, it starts at FY13, but FY14, it was, $434,000 and change. FY15, it was $407,000 and change. FY16, it was $389 and change. And FY17 doesn't make sense because we haven't finished it
It was
yet.
year to date.
It was year to date.
Year to date, so that doesn't, not comparable. FY13 was the highest, so it's just.
well, I don't think that any of us, I think we all understand that the reason for looking at this is because we have been consistently losing money. We've consistently seen a drop in participation. And that's
been the driver.
Yeah, that's absolutely the driver. There's no other, driving
There's-
force here.
it's
It's
a
just
lot
because
more
of the budgetary
complicated than
situation
that.
that we're in.
Especially with.
Because the
you know,
budget does have to contribute,
Yeah,
you know, to whatever,
When we lose money,
balances do. Right.
that money has to be pulled out of our school budget.
Right. So when Cheryl and I and the superintendent met to start the negotiations process with Suzanne as well, we did talk, that's when we introduced the prospect of outsourcing. And I know we did talk, during that meeting, talk about like things that the current staff could be doing to, you know, help along those numbers and make some changes. And they did say that they had some, you know, great ideas. Tonight we've heard some great ideas. I think, you know, the idea of, you know, catering, like Whitson's had mentioned, I think we could certainly, you know, capitalize on that as well. I think right now, speaking just for myself, going through all of this, I was very impressed with Whitson's when I went. I will be completely honest, I was impressed with the marketing, I was impressed with the employees, I was impressed with the overall look of the facility, but I also wanna say that I'm also very impressed with our own. Right now, my question is, not is Whitson a good company, it's, is this good for us right now? You know, that's what I've been going through in my head, because I am looking at it as the people, because yes, Whitson's, you know, we have asked that Whitson's, you know, take our employees, you know, first, but I'm hearing that they don't wanna go. So then that concerns me, because, okay, then that would mean our students are gonna see different faces. I mean, I'm looking at the comps between what we offer and what they offer, and I certainly would have, questions too if I was in this situation to say, yes, I think that that's just as good and I'm gonna go. So, I just wanna start off with that, and we can lead into it, the next discussion.
I guess
Anybody?
Yeah, I guess I'm the issue that I struggle with and is why I don't know how to put this, and it's if we have all these great ideas, why aren't we doing them? And if we are already doing them, why aren't we seeing the results? Because the meals served is not increasing as much as we would like to see. So something's clearly not working, and I don't know where the roadblock is. I don't think it's only serving ice cream on Friday. But I guess I'm not understanding if there are all these great ideas, and it sounds like there's stuff bubbling up. Why isn't it happening? And in a situation where I've been in meetings for longer than a year where we've talked about food services losing money and we need to do something, and okay, it's a year later and we lost another $34,000, we really need to do something. We're still here now saying, but we have all these good ideas. And I guess it's tricky for me to, it's kicking, it sounds like I'm saying, I want to sign up tomorrow, but we're kicking the can a year down the road, saying we have all these great ideas and we're going to sell a lot of cheese platters and it's all going to work. I don't know why it hasn't happened already. If that was a solution.
Right. Yeah,
but I know budgetarily we're making staffing changes on the budget side in terms of people and their jobs in the district on the budget side. We're trying to figure out how to buy a science curriculum that we can't afford. We're trying to figure out how to get an accreditation that we can't afford. We're trying to do all of these things in a very constrained budget. And here's another deficit that we're trying to cover. Not trying to make a profit, just trying to make it work.
Right.
So, in other words, we may have to take money for, say, the science curriculum to cover the
food service deficit.
The deficit.
Yeah.
It would have to come from
transferred
somewhere.
Which we've done.
$34,000 last year.
How much was that?
$34,000 to cover a deficit and summer pays.
Okay, so let's be clear about how this deficit occurs, because I think the community is feeling like this deficit is occurring because there are people that have not paid their bills. So let's clarify that. So on the,
I'll let Suzanne answer that one if I
Well,
can.
I think that's part of it, but.
It is a part- it
But
is
they
part
have
of it.
collected a lot of
They've done a
last
great job,
year's,
yep.
went down.
Yep.
And I think they're just not covering the expenses, of the program.
Right.
We take a lot of expenses and just put them right into the budget because we know that there's not enough money. There's not enough money to pay them. And we can't let the vendors wait. We have to pay the vendors, A lot of the maintenance, comes out of the maintenance budget because the food service just can't afford it.
So what happens to, like if I load money on my children's account and summer comes and I have, say, $50 on each of my kids' account?
Well, best practice is that you're supposed to, on June 30th, if all those parents decided that they wanted to get refunded, then, the district is obligated to refund that money.
Okay.
And it needs to be there in September on that student's
Absolutely,
account so
because
that they
if
can spend
September
it
1st,
forward.
when they go in and they wanna buy lunch and the parent thinks that there's
But you
money.
would think most parents probably are figuring out their calendar year and not keeping a large balance over the summer, right?
Yeah, everybody's different.
Yeah.
How much is there now? Isn't there $25,000?
Right now there is, but I'm sure people will start to wind down,
And so the
Yeah.
challenge from an accounting perspective is after, if I understand correctly, after we pay the next payroll, there's gonna be $1,000 or $2,000 in the account. $25,000 is theoretically owed to parents if they wanted to take it. And as people start to wind down their accounts as it gets to the end of the year, we're not really taking in new revenue,
No.
but we're still spending money on food.
Right, and we also have to cover the summer pay of our director,
Mhm.
because, she does get paid throughout the summer.
Right.
So that money has to be there on June 30th.
And the bad debt, right?
Because we don't take in any money over the summer.
Right.
So,
Do we offer lunch for, the programs over at Pembroke? Is it a bring?
In the summer, you mean?
Yeah, so there's no cafeteria workers at all in the summer, so if kids are over at Pembroke, they have.
Those programs are done by 1 or maybe 2 in the afternoon, I mean, they're not.
Well, like that camp invention is
The
like
camp
8 to
invention.
Oh,
3.
camp invention's a
So they
different
just bring their
thing.
own?
3
They
days.
do bring their own lunch.
They bring their own, yeah. Yeah, I think they do.
Right.
yeah, we don't have any
They're
cafeteria.
there till 4:30.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Well, so what we're saying is we are spending more money on food than what is coming in people buying the food.
Food, labor, the total
Yeah,
cost.
the
of
total
program
cost.
Costs more than the revenue.
Okay, so tell me again what the amount would be, what we're figuring the deficit would be for this year.
Well, I mean, we're just, you
What
know,
is it now?
The
What's-
deficit
what's
right
the
now is
revolving account look like?
about 4,000.
4,000? Okay. Was there a $10,000
And
amount
then
though that?
the expectation
The
is-
expectation was a $10,000 deficit though, wasn't it?
But do you
Right,
have
well,
a
because-
projected figure for the end of the year?
Yeah, because we have to consider the summer pay.
Yeah.
And we have, I don't know where the online prepaids is gonna end up.
Right.
And then I think the uncollected balance is around 5,000, 5,500 right now.
Okay, so how much was that originally?
Like
Last year it was 14,000.
16?
And it's gone, now it's about 5.
So
They
they've
have some-
collected
those
a lot of
donations
money.
help, and the
And then
donations
we've
helped
had
a lot, too.
donations
We
this
get
year
it,
too.
right, we have had
Yeah, the
donations
donations
too.
have been helping
offset.
a lot too
Yeah.
from our
So
very
are
generous
we saying
community.
there's 5,000 in unpaid bills and 4,000 together?
So that's.
No, we have 5,000 in unpaid bills and we'll have 8,000 of summer pay. Right now, she has about 4,000 in her account. So, and then I don't know, the year-end bills will come in. Historically, we've paid a lot more out because we have to close the year in June. So, you know, we have to account for those bills.
We do get reimbursement in July.
We do get a reimbursement in July for the June, yep. We do.
Okay.
Which is typically how much?
Right, what does that bring it down to?
It all depends on the.
It all depends on how many,
Anticipation.
yeah, the claim.
It's hard to figure. Can you give me that sheet that you were looking at, like with the numbers that you,
These are meals served.
right,
And it comes from spreadsheets.
yeah, I
These
appreciate your
spreadsheets.
spreadsheets, Heather, but they were very hard for me to
So I've been,
understand.
trying to compare.
Not working on these spreadsheets myself. I'm like,
The POS reports, the sales reports?
She did the NutriKids report.
Oh, the Nutri,
That
yeah.
was the meals from.
So this is the information you got from there, right?
This
Yeah.
is the information, and then, I'm sorry, it's like, this starts here and it ends here.
Right. Okay.
And the deposits are here,
So this is the Pembroke.
revenues.
And this is
Mhm.
how much is, well, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that is the total.
Okay.
So, I mean, really, we,
Suzanne, not to put you on the spot, but one of the questions asked, and I know we didn't answer it, was involving, were the workers involved in the RFP process?
No,
Which they, right,
because-
so can you just,
Well, they're in a self-op program, so they're not a corporation.
Right.
We requested bids from companies, so they could have written up a proposal and requested you to look at it, you know? I mean,
Did you just say that we could write a proposal?
not in response to the RFP, but if you wanted to write anything you wanted, or if you presentation, I mean, you could have done.
response
they're
to
not
the
a company and a
RFP.
corporation.
But I
Right.
said you could certainly,
That's the
yeah,
answer.
it is, Heather.
Laura, you asked that question. Did you understand that? Did you hear that? Okay.
The answer to student safety.
Are you looking at Jill's?
Yeah, I'm just saying, where do the profits go? So people thought they went to Whitson's, but they don't, they go
Right.
to the district.
They have to stay by law in
Let's
the
see,
revolving
work,
fund.
thought
and
most
then what did the district do? Oh my gosh, what did I write for my question?
You have that.
Do to pay. District do.
What other solutions?
I see the what other solutions.
Safety of students, which we talked
Yep.
about, special dietary needs. I
And then
believe
the
we-
issue of the issues the companies had, we talked briefly about that, that was brought up.
Right,
And then the competition question.
right. And can new ideas bring in enough money? I just, Cheryl, when we had the negotiations meeting, I just recall Ruth specifically mentioning that she had some ideas and things like that to, improve the program. And, we were happy to hear that. And we would hope that if those, ideas, came to fruition, that they would actually help out budgetary wise. Obviously, we're just concerned about the scope of our budget right now and the consistency of it just, going down. And what would it take to bring it to the level that it would need to be in order to make us, sleep better at night? Right?
Right.
Um, and not, I'm not in that business, so I don't have any ideas off the top of my head, but I know that the ideas that were thrown out sound pretty good to me. I know that we go to banquets for our athletes, and we pay local restaurants to cater them. I don't know why, we wouldn't be utilizing our own cafeteria workers and pay them to provide us a good meal. Heather, has that been discussed? Have you?
to do that.
But have you reached out to like the athletic director to see if possibly that would be, like an option for them?
I didn't know that was the contact person that I would need to, but I'd be happy to talk with Guy, that's the AD now, about that, right? And I always thought that people brought in their own like potluck style.
We did that, yeah, we did do that in years
It would
years
just be labor
past.
costs for that.
It would be labor costs for that, right, but that would be paid by the parents. So it wouldn't be any
Right, so,
additional.
yeah, I think you'd have, just
additional
like we were
cost.
talking about, the catering for Whitson's, they'd have to consider that within the cost of what they charge, right?
Right.
So most of the people who go to banquets are used to like $10 a family
Right.
or something,
Well-
right? So,
Well, it
yeah,
depends,
that's a little
sometimes
different.
it is the $10 a family and
Sometimes it's potluck, right?
Well, or sometimes it's
$10 a person.
Person, right.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it all depends
where
on
they're
who,
getting it from.
Yeah, depends on
who
where they're getting,
organizes
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so that certainly, just, you could certainly look at that.
So I think just in the decision-making process, we gotta figure out, what is our biggest concern here? And is it able to be overcome by not outsourcing? Or is there something that you just know one will work over the other, just, with everything that we've looked at?
Well, I know when we had that meeting, and Ruth had some great ideas about using leftover food to make a soup and her deli bar, and I know Suzanne, I can't remember the specific ideas, but they both shared some really creative, thoughtful ideas. I just don't know if they've been implemented and if we're not seeing.
Right, an increase in participation.
But we don't know if they've been implemented, because again, the ideas
The
were
ideas
really
are right.
creative.
I think the answer is no.
And I think we've seen that over the years, there've been many ideas. We're not sure where or when they're being implemented. And if we are trying to, reduce the cost, then something major has to change.
Right. Well, I am hoping that with the new, the regulations changing, that will alleviate some, I think the food will taste a little better. Yeah. Right?
You'd hope.
Okay. So what is your, what are your driving factors in this? Like what is?
Well, I mean, there are many driving factors.
I know
think it
you've
would be a
always said to me
mistake
you
say
wanted your
that there's
children
just
to always
one.
eat, you want them to be provided a good meal.
Yes, yes, and, you know, that is certainly one, that is a big, the quality of food and the diversity of food and, you know, is a big factor. I was just wondering, Suzanne, to, you know, I mean, there's the human factor, there's the people, and we appreciate so much, you know, everyone who's worked for us, and we really, you know, but I also, I'm just wondering, so now you've looked at, you've analyzed the revenues and the costs of both options, both of our alternatives.
Both of our alternatives, meaning outsource.
Outsource or stay.
Okay.
And, you know, really, I mean, I think we've all talked about the financial piece already, but from the numbers perspective, your recommendation would be?
I'm not in the position to make a recommendation.
Okay, all right. That's okay, you can answer me that way.
That's not-
I can ask and you can answer, that's all right.
Yep, that's not
I
my
just thought
role.
I would.
I,
You know, it's, I mean.
Heather,
this-
can I
this-
ask
this-
you,
this
the
is
different
menu.
things that we talked about, and you were at that meeting, what has been done since we had that meeting in like January?
Well, the April menu, I'm not sure if you noticed, we started, you know, as you and I talked about, I know you're.
I did, I saw
gluten-free.
your vegan and your gluten-free.
The labeling to help people know what options we have and really highlight that we do offer a wide variety of options. We also opened up the a la carte
Yep.
entrees, which is, I hope, really visible on the menu, as visibility as I possibly could.
So can kids get just the a la carte, or do they have to get the full reimbursable meal first?
Full reimbursable meal
They
first.
do, okay. And then they can get the sliced pizza for like $1.25.
And the reason behind that is we don't want our reimbursable meals to go down
Absolutely,
further
yep.
by incentivizing a la carte purchases ahead of time.
Right. I do like
So
the,
this
I
is-
think your menu is
this is
very
our-
attractive.
It is.
Looking, yeah.
It
And I
is.
did see that you had the allergen information on there, and is this, how many menus do you have? Oh, a few.
Are more people buying it? I mean, that's, I think that is the most important thing. Is it working?
I increased today, I increased 30 from 2 weeks ago. So the meal that we had from last month to this month, 2 weeks ago, we had 2 weeks ago, the increase today was 30. So that's pretty good.
That is.
Yeah.
I worry that's a one day, maybe it was chicken patty day, and I know that's a big day. I don't mean anything, but like,
And just to put it into perspective,
Did you say
meatballs.
They love meatballs.
as far as other districts go and what their average percent participation is, there are other districts within the tech collaborative, because we are part of a buying group. It sounded like they were implying that we aren't part of a purchasing collaborative that has.
I was gonna ask you that, so you do have a collaboration?
We do, and we also share information on our respective districts. And one of the things that I noticed, because I know that participation is a concern, and it's not like we want to stay where we are, we always want to increase participation, but there are a lot of districts with similar rates of free and reduced percent, which is a big driver of participation. If you have higher rates of students who are eligible for free meals, then you're going to have more people participating. So district with 9% free and reduced, 37% participation. 12%, which is a little higher than us, 29, 34, and 21% participation elementary through high school respectively. 22%, which is higher free and reduced, is 49, 45, and 43, which is not too far off from where we are. 22% for free and reduced, 34%, 36, and 31, which is lower than where we are. So it's not, I understand we don't want to take away money from the much-needed science curriculum to support our program, but we're willing to work with you. We need support to implement some of these things.
When you say that, I hear you, but let me just say to you, Heather, that I think you have always gotten my support.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay?
I
So-
think it's more like on the ground level, not necessarily.
We value the employees, and I've said that many times, and I know my
feel it.
committee members feel that way, and so you would have our support continuously. We just need to know that, what can we do to help this along? Because I know we've talked about, like, going to the students and having, like, focus groups and saying, you know, having a bunch of kids, even if you had, like, the class officers, you know, gather the kids around and just say, okay, tell us about the school lunches, because I know there are kids out there that would love to really tell you, you know, good or bad. And I don't know how often you've done that, or if you have done that. But, you know, going to the source, that's what we need to do, because I know as a mom, I go to I go to them and say, you know, why don't you wanna buy today, or, so.
And, so, and I also see that, you know, over these past couple of years, you've been more reactive than proactive. I'd really like to see you implement the things that have been talked about. You know, you were saying how you'd like to do the catering, but you didn't know who to go to. But so you take the reins and ask around and, you know, sort of dive in a little bit deeper. And you do have our support to help you do that.
Well, I guess my question is on support. I know as a committee, we've supported any creative ideas to enhance the food service program, but to support also mean funding, because to do certain things or certain kitchen equipment that's necessary to take it to that next level, that we don't have the money.
Right.
I'm not sure. Is support financial or procedural?
Yeah, well, I think that's what we're here, I think procedurally is, you know, without overstepping bounds on, you know, your own operations and things like that, that's up to you.
You know, that's not for this discussion.
But, I'm just recalling from different conversations that we've had, that we did, wanna see some things done that could possibly increase the participation. Because, and I hate it when we say things like, and I don't mean to, when you said the science curriculum, but that is true. It's absolutely true, and I think the public needs to know that if the money is not there, we have to find it somewhere, which means it comes, because we only have so much money, it comes from somewhere, and it's gonna come from somewhere that's gonna be noticed, and then we're gonna have people coming in saying, you're, you know, getting rid of a teacher, or you're, and I don't wanna say that I'm thinking a teacher is more important than any of you, but the money comes from somewhere, and whether it is the science curriculum or the high school accreditation, it's gotta come from somewhere, and
Or it comes
we-
in raising fees on athletics or after
Athletics,
school
or-
or preschool, like.
right, it comes from somewhere, and
Which we've done
that's-
some of that. And there's still.
Right, which is why
They're still in
I
a
appreciate the public coming out, in support of you, I appreciate the students showing their support, but they have to remember too, that if something else goes, they're gonna be in here saying, how can you let this go? And we're gonna have to say, well, because we only have so much money and, you know, we made this decision, well, that was a bad decision because now you're taking this away. It's just like a never-ending cycle, which we try so hard to get out of. And we have been in this budget situation for the last several years, and it's only gonna get worse. You know, we don't see any light at the end of the tunnel right now.
Right.
But with that being said, I still personally believe that we could possibly see an increase in numbers if we really try the hardest that we can and know that if we don't, the only option we have is to outsource. But that's how, you know, I really believe that we could do a lot of other things and try to make the numbers work, give it a period of time. And say, you know, the next year, this is what, you know, and we would have to set objectives. And we would have to continuously monitor that throughout the school year. Not to say, you know, all of a sudden in April, well, wait a minute, you know, you didn't do this. It would be working with you very closely. So when the time comes, if the time comes, if this is what we did, and we did have the same conversation next year, and people coming out, you know, to join our meeting, that we could have all the data and say, well, you were at the meeting last year, this is what we wanted, and this is what happened. So, that's my take.
I do.
Hold on.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I agree. I guess I would have expected to be able to see some of that between
Already.
January or whatever that date was and now, and
Instead of reactive, proactive. So
I think we do all agree with that. I think we do all agree that we're hoping that we could have seen something. But
so possibly.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I guess my fear is, and here again, it sounds like I'm eager to go outside, but we don't know if we put the RFP out next year, we don't know anyone's going to come back. And if we have another year of a deficit, we're another year down the road, and then we don't have options. And that's, for me, knowing the budget, that's an even scarier proposition because it's another chunk of money that will be gone.
Right, because there were 5 companies that answered us on,
Right.
but only one
actually-
continued with the process. And that was, what was your take on why that occurred? Was that because of the size of our district, or, I mean, did they give you any indication as to?
I think it's probably because of the size.
The size, it just
Smaller
wasn't.
districts are a little more difficult to work with.
Okay.
To increase. And we have low free and reduced lunch.
So that's a driver?
Yes.
A low and free and reduced lunch? Well, thank you for pointing that out, because I really did not think of that. I mean, I recognize the fact that there was 5 and only one continued with the process. And if you're right, if
But
after
it's not-
the year it goes and we're still, you know, in the deficit with the budget situation that we're in, I didn't think of that.
Well, that was one of the ideas or one of the requests that the union made when we talked to them.
Right.
Was to
Yes, a year.
potentially do a 1-year contract with very specific benchmarks. And then consider what you would do next year if the benchmarks weren't hit.
So we would have to map it out, look at
So
the
that's one of the
benchmarks.
things that the reunion requested that the committee consider if outsourcing wasn't the vote. Of course, they'd like a 3-year contract, but that was one of the, you know, suggestions that was sort of discussed at the table.
I recall that. Jim, did you wanna say something quickly?
That's all I wanted to say for the record, is that the union stands ready to roll up our sleeves and work with you on this as well, and we did propose a 1-year contract. We also, I have to say this, it was back in February, we had a meeting, we also proposed, suggesting that an RFP go out for management only as well,
That was in the-
simultaneously. And it, you know, it may be near the 11th hour now, but I wanna say for the record that we raised this suggestion many months ago to the superintendent.
Yeah, you asked for, with that table, you guys talked about 4 options.
And Mr. Hinchcliffe, just one thing after your comment, I've been doing this for 15 years, we've encountered this a lot. I have never seen an RFP go out where you didn't get at least one bid on it. So I really, in my experience, which is pretty long now, I've never seen that happen. I don't think that should be a concern of this committee. There'll always be a Whitson's, there'll be an Aramac or a Sodexo. If they think there's a buck to be made, they'll be there for it.
Especially with Whitby's right around the corner. And didn't they promise a 22,000 deficit in the first year?
No, they changed that. They netted that with figures. When Suzanne and Kim talked about the actual, I forget that rate, I always get it wrong.
The reimbursement
What's the number, reimbursement rate?
And the participation.
And the participant rate, yeah.
I-
So those numbers were not, what they were given was not complete information, so.
The challenge with getting one bid is that it's one bid and you can't do anything with it. We're paying
Can't,
a
yeah.
fortune for buses because we got one bid.
Exactly, yeah, there's no
So
competition.
yes, somebody's gonna come
There's no
out and make the
competition,
buck,
yeah.
but it doesn't mean that we can afford
To
to pay the buck.
Before I forget, I do wanna give you the information on the unemployment insurance. Please don't discount that as a cost. We saw Chelmsford get really whacked with that because you are self-funding for unemployment insurance. And I don't wanna speak for everybody in this room, but I've talked to all these workers. They don't plan on going to work for Whitson's. So that's gonna be an additional cost if you're worried about running a deficit for another year. That's gonna be a big chunk of it as well. It's just something else to keep in mind. I'll put them on the table here. I brought the information from the state.
Oh, great.
It's just make a motion, somebody should just make a motion at this point. I don't think you don't seem to have much more new stuff. Thank you.
Excuse me.
God, it's almost 10 o'clock.
I know.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to remain with the current food service, model with a 1-year contract with objectives to be met and also monthly discussions with the food service director. Excuse me?
And data to
Yes,
support it.
with supporting data.
Does, a question on the motion,
Yeah.
Is that a negotiation?
Yeah, you can,
Or-
yeah.
Okay.
Are we?
So-
You can say that you wanna stay with the current.
Okay. And then tomorrow, if this
Start
passes,
negotiations
then
with-
tomorrow we start
That's right.
negotiations and then we can talk.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
so,
yeah.
Laura, scratch that. So I would like to make a motion to remain with the existing food service model.
There you go.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye? Aye.
And then you have to say opposed, and then.
No.
Yeah,
Abstention.
but just bear with,
Oh, you're still thinking?
aye.
Okay,
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Okay, motion carries at 5-0.
Thank you.
Don't regret it.
Motion
See a
to
lot of
adjourn.
work.
Oh, sorry.
So can you just do the science quickly?
Yeah, let's do the science. quick.
Just let everybody.
Julia, thank you for staying this
Julia.
late.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. Thank
Staying
you.
the whole time, 10
No,
o'clock.
thank you.